The Adolph Coors Brewing Company of Golden, Colorado is proud to present the Coors Play of the Week. Sunday, Brooklyn, Michigan, Wild Bill from Dawsonville, Bill Elliott in his red number 9 Coors Thunderbird shoots inside Darrell Waltrip and Cale Yarborough on the 100th lap of the champion Sparkplug 400 and never looked back after that in taking his 9th checkered flag in 18 races this season. For Monday's headline Sunday night, catch the Coors Sports page Sunday night at 10:05 Eastern Time right here on the Superstation.
This is the reason there's only one Coors brewery in the world. When this snow melts, it'll flow through miles of porous rock and sand. This natural filtration helps create a clarity, a purity that's so remarkable, Coors doesn't have to do a thing to their water. Rocky Mountain Spring Water helps give Coors a difference worth tasting. When you want a beer that's a little less heavy, never bitter, but with all the spirit of a great beer, Coors is the one.
Okay, into the showers. Let's build body with the Pro 1-2. The conditioner's new.
1, shampoo in, body in, fullness in.
Prel body.
2,
New Prel protein-enriched conditioner.
conditioner in, protein in, condition in, control in.
That's Prel body.
Full body shampoo.
And new Prel conditioner. It's my bodybuilding system for hair.
Chocolate is scrumptious when it crunches. That's why I love Nestle Crunch Milk Chocolate. That's creamy, blending crispy, ooh, so dreamy. Gotta have it, it's so scrumptious. Love that chocolate.
And it crunches, scrumptious when it crunches. That's why
Nestle Crunch.
Hi, my name's Charlie Daniels, and I play music for a living. And when I'm not playing music, I like to read about the Old West. I don't know anybody that tells about the Old West and writes about the people and their spirit and the good guys and the bad guys as good as my friend Louis L'Amour. I've read most of his books, and a great one to start with is Hondo. Folks at Bantam Books would like to send you this new hardcover edition of Hondo to introduce you to the Louis L'Amour collection. These handsomely bound, action-packed books will make a fine-looking addition to your home or office. They'll involve your children and your whole family in reading. After you examine Hondo free for 10 days, and should you decide to keep it, all you pay is $9.95 plus postage and handling. Then you'll automatically receive another Louis L'Amour selection once a month for a 10-day free examination. You may return any copy and stop whenever you want to. You know, I look forward to receiving my copy every month. Call now for your free 10-day examination copy of Hondo. Once you start it, I guarantee you won't put it down. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Call toll-free 1-800-257-1234 to examine Hondo, your first exciting volume in the Louis L'Amour collection. That's 1-800-257-1234. Hondo is yours to examine with no obligation for 10 days. So call now, 1-800-257-1234.
Beginning Monday, September 2nd, the Superstation's got great American comedy that's sure to tickle your funny bone.
Make me laugh.
Okay, how about the Prestons and their heavenly housekeeper, Ethel?
Is this the place where the nuts are?
Yeah, they're down to earth. Next, catch a few laughs with a gang of Safe at Home. Then, try America's newest flavor in comedy, Rocky Road.
Now, do I have to write that down?
It couldn't hurt. Remember, it all starts at 6:05 Eastern on the Superstation, Monday, September 2nd.
The Adolph Coors Brewing Company of Golden, Colorado is proud to present the Coors Play of the Week. Wednesday in Zurich, Switzerland, Mary Decker-Slaney racing against Zola Budd and Maria Puica for the first time since the 1984 Olympics not only wins the rematch, but sets a world record in the women's mile. Mary's time, 4 minutes, 16.7 seconds, breaking the old record held by Puica at 4:17.4. Zola Budd set a British mile record in finishing third. For Monday's headline Sunday night, catch the Coors Sports page Sunday night at 10:05 Eastern Time right here on the Superstation.
Gonna party like before, it's the fancy once more. Gonna stroll across the floor.
Well, turn it loose with the silver bullet. Find it, grab it, pull it. Rock and roll with a cold Coors Light.
Papers heavy, the weight is minor.
Silver bullet won't slow you down.
Keep it light, party right.
Well, turn it loose with the silver bullet tonight.
Coors,
Coors Light Beer.
If you can see the difference between this and this, smile, because Gleam can make the same difference in your teeth. You see, only Gleam has calcium P. And laboratory tests prove it gets stained teeth whiter than any leading fluoride brand. Whiter than any gel, whiter than any polish. How much whiter? 30% whiter. And you'll still get Gleam's proven fluoride protection. So if your teeth aren't as white as they can be, start brushing with Gleam. You'll be smiling. Pretty.
With a column due every week, I work when I'm taking it easy. And if every little thing doesn't go just right, I can't relax. That's why I like the cleaner, drier kind of protection of Always Maxis. Only Always has a special material called dry weave that traps virtually all of the wetness inside the pad, away from me. It's so clean and dry, I know it's working.
Always the only maxi with dry weave. Such a cleaner, drier kind of protection, you know it's working.
So I can relax.
When you've got a headstrong boss, sometimes you need some headstrong relief. Goody's extra strength tablets.
When you've got a headstrong teenage daughter, sometimes you need some headstrong relief. Goody's extra strength tablets.
No matter what you've tried for a headache, try Goody's extra strength tablets with aspirin and acetaminophen, the two pain relievers doctors recommend most.
What a relief.
Headstrong relief.
Goody's extra strength tablets for real headstrong relief.
Hello, Mother. Hello, Father. Greetings from Kent. Hiawatha. Swimming school here. But this place is not like home. I miss your nice fresh pillowcases.
You miss Downy, it's so pleasing. April freshness, that's one reason. Downy softness, that's another. Downy freshness makes a difference, hug your mother.
April Fresh Downy.
CNN tells it right. Your window on the world both day and night.
Catch up with all the scores, highlights, and insights on CNN Sports Tonight. Join Nick Charles and Jim Hubert every night of the week at 11:30 Eastern.
I witnessed the incredible, experienced the wonderful.
Experience Sports Tonight every night of the week.
Experience live on CNN.
Mr. Business Guy, did you know that starting August 31st, the Superstation brings you the best college football coverage with 5 of the nation's top teams, including #1 Oklahoma?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Ace, did you know that all this excitement includes Heisman Trophy candidates Reuben Mays of Washington State, Auburn's awesome Bo Jackson, and Ohio State's bulldozer Keith Byers?
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Super Football Saturday. It's less than 3 weeks away, only on Superstation WTBS.
Roaches, public enemy #1. They come out at night and scurry all over your kitchen carrying germs and diseases. Roaches leave filthy droppings behind them. They crawl over food or even creep into your shoes. Yuck! But how do you get rid of them? You've tried smelly spray insecticides, but look, roaches can smell too, so they avoid the sprayed areas and keep coming back. Now there's a solution to roach problems. Roach Kill, the amazing odorless powder with a double your money back guarantee. In tests at a leading university, the powder in Roach Kill proved 99.5% effective with only one application. The powder was far superior to 6 other insecticides tested. Scientists agree that when properly applied, the Roach Kill formula kills and controls roaches better than any spray insecticide. Roach Kill is easy to use. Just squeeze the powder from the Roach Kill bottle behind appliances and in other hiding places. Roaches can't smell Roach Kill, so they don't flee to other parts of your house as they do with aerosol insecticides. They walk right through the Roach Kill powder, which clings to their legs, and carry it back to their hidden nests within the walls. There it kills not just the midnight crawlers, but the whole colony that breeds new roaches. Roach Kill is so incredibly effective that it has a double your money back guarantee. Using a bottle as directed, if Roach Kill doesn't kill every last roach in your house, simply return it after a 2-week trial, and we'll send you double your money back. Think of it, a product so amazing that it has a double your money back guarantee. It's not sold in stores, so pick up your phone and order now. Get extra bottles for garages and basements.
Most orders shipped in 24 hours. To order by COD, Visa, or MasterCard, call toll-free 1-800-257-1234. To avoid COD charges, send check or money order for $9.95 plus $2 shipping and handling to Roach Kill, Post Office Box 7500, Atlanta, Georgia 30357. Remember that.
Welcome, everyone. Happy Sunday. I hope everybody's enjoying their Independence Day weekend. Yes, I said Independence Day. There's 4th of July everywhere, but only Independence Day is in the United States on 4th of July. One of my favorite holidays, easily, because I am a patriot, and I love my freedoms, and a hell of a lot happened. A lot of people died to make sure, and since I'm just talking about back in the late 1700s, a lot of people have died since to maintain your freedoms. So I think it's great that we celebrate this, but it's not all about fireworks and barbecues. It's about kicking limey ass. It's about kicking limey ass and winning our independence from a tyrannical government. Don't get me started. Anyway, but maybe I'll do something. I haven't done a Patreon stream in a long time. Maybe I'll do a patriotic Independence Day stream. Possibly, maybe. We'll see. So let's not forget why we're here. On January 27th, 2020, I believe it was. 2020. Sorry, my timelines suck. A lot of cases. I believe, yes, Gannon Stauch, 11 years old, was brutally murdered by his stepmother, Letecia Stauch. And there has been a trial. Letecia Stauch has been found guilty. It took a long time. She definitely manipulated the system to stall the process, the inevitable process of justice being taken place for Gannon. But in the end, she fell short, as we all knew she would. And we watched this trial every single day. And we followed it. And that reminds me, I want to thank you guys for being here as well. I feel it's necessary to go over this stuff. And I'll be honest, like I've said every other time I've gone live about this, covering this stuff, I've said that part of me just feels like that's it. Justice is served. Move on. But the thing is I've been covering this case since it broke in the first place. And hi, Panda. Hi, sweetie. Yeah, I've got a guest. I've been covering this case since it broke, and it just seems it seems weird to not go over stuff that we haven't gone over. So once we get through with this FBI interrogation, I don't think there's any more information that we need to go over. And and at that point, once this is done, at least this channel will be putting this case to rest. I just don't imagine anything else coming out that would be calling me to go over. So, but this is going to be it. This is probably going to be at least a two-parter because this is a 4-hour long interview conducted by the FBI agent who his name escapes me. But I remember watching him testify And I remember really liking how thorough and meticulous he was. This was a very, very, very experienced FBI agent, and he's profiled serial killers, profiled all kinds of different types of criminals. So the likes of Letecia Stauch were not going to get past his experience and his wits. Oh yeah, shout out to the docket. Yes. And before I continue, let me do this real quick. Actually, this is totally off subject, but we're gonna kind of detour from Letecia Stauch for just a second, and I'm going to just go in a different direction real quick. I made a post yesterday, and I want to thank everybody who liked the post and who commented really positive things in that post. There's a YouTube creator who goes by the name of Whiskey OG, and he's recently decided to go sober, to put himself into a recovery program, whether it's a whatever type is he's choosing to be able to stay sober, whatever it is, even if it's just telling himself, hey, I'm going to stay sober, that's still a form of a recovery program. I just want to be clear about that. I'm not implying that he's going to check himself in somewhere because I don't fucking know. But this is a dude who I would watch him sometimes, and I remember thinking like, man, this guy's so talented. And then just see him, just you could tell the alcohol was just driving him. And I've even called into a show and talked to him and been like, man, like you would be so awesome if you just didn't like get yourself caught up in all this bullshit, and you could tell a lot of that was alcohol related. And I'm not judging the guy because I drink, I don't drink every day. The way that I do it, I will drink for like 2 days and then I'll chill out for however long, and then so on and so forth. I think since New Year's, I've drank a total of 3 times since New Year's, maybe 4, maybe, but a total of 3 times since New Year's. And I can understand because I've been in that place where you feel like, that's this has got to stop. So and honestly, it was something I didn't expect to happen, was to hear him announce that he was going to take a stab at sobriety. And I think that he's going to do it. I think he's going to do it. And my message to him would be, there's going to be 3 types of people that you're going to deal with during this process, during this journey. And you're going to have the enablers. Those are the people who would watch your streams night after night. They were faithful to you and they just loved watching you get hammered drunk and play music and sing along to music and talk shit and get pissed off about other YouTube creators and blah, blah, blah. There's those people who are going to be like, man, but I like drunk Whiskey OG, and that's going to be challenging. And then there's going to be the naysayers, the ones who are going to be like, I give them a month You're going to have those people. Those people are going to come out of the woodworks. People, and this is the trick, because you're going to see these are people who weren't around while you were hanging out and drinking and doing your thing the way that you did it. But these people are going to say, I give him a month, blah, blah, blah. A guy like that doesn't have any willpower, blah, 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 blah. Right. And those are just simply people that you're going to have to ignore. Same with the enablers. But then you're going to have this. Then you're going to have those people that are going to get inspired by you. You're going to have those people that are going to be like, dude, if whiskey can do it, if Whiskey OG can go sober, I can go sober. If Whiskey OG can look at himself in the mirror and say, I got to make some changes for the better, for the sake of myself and the people that I love, then I can do that. And those are the people that you want to hang around. Promise you, promise you, promise you, promise you. And I'm not trying to talk at you. I'm just saying, like, I've gone through these struggles before. And it's not, I've gone through my own changes, necessary changes. And it's the same compartmentalized 3 different types of people. It's the same thing with what I was going through and with what you're going through. Anybody who's doing anything to change drastic habits in order to improve themselves are going to have those 3 types of people in your lives. And what's going to happen is going to be based on the type of people that you choose to surround yourself with. The people who will either be toxic to your environment or enrich your environment, and who feel that you can enrich theirs. So I think it's awesome. I'm inspired by you myself. I'm not even trying to lie. So I really hope that this goes well for you, and I hope that you stay strong. And no judgment if you fall off the wagon either, dude. You know what I mean? Don't listen to fucking nobody. It's a journey. It's your journey. It's none of nobody else's fucking business. So fuck anybody who says anything about what you should or shouldn't fucking be doing. Like, you're the one making this decision. The reason why I have so much respect for you in this situation, the aspect of this all, is that you made this decision that you're like, I don't give a fuck what kind of changes it's going to make in my life. I'm concerned about the positive changes it's going to make. Fuck the negative. I don't care. I'm doing this. Despite the fact that you've made a name for yourself on YouTube where part of your persona is drinking. And you are willing to completely and totally switch that around and change that. And I think that that is incredibly inspiring, and I wish you all the best, dude. So big shout out to you, man. And yeah, go subscribe, man. Like, the dude can play fucking music. He's funny. He's charming, you know. He's got a charm to him, man. And I look forward to seeing him do his thing, dude. So having said that, we're going to get right into this FBI interrogation of Letecia Stauch.
Just try to, if you can pull that chip back a little bit or something. We are going to record this. This figure protection. So Letecia and John Grusing with the FBI met you in the mall parking lot. Do you know why you're here? Did they inform you, the officers, of why you're under arrest?
I'm under arrest?
Yes.
For what?
For Cannon Stauch. A warrant was issued out of Colorado.
Okay, but no, someone could have just called me and we didn't have to have like a big scene. I would have called you or whoever.
Yeah, and apologize for that. Because of the nature of the warrant, it being a murder warrant, there's And that's what I'd like to talk with you about today. That's why we're not having a cast of thousands here and whatever, is we would like to get to the bottom of what happened there. I know that a lot of things have gone on with your life, a little bit of how this turns out. Okay, but because you were arrested and you're not free to leave, I need you to sign an advice of rights before we can talk.
Well, I mean, so I'm getting charged with what now?
Okay, so this is when they picked her up in South Carolina, and she had already gone to Florida, dumped the body. Now, they have not found the body yet. The only evidence that they have so far is, I mean, they have all the evidence they need aside from the body. But they feel that the evidence that they had, aside from not having the body, all of the other evidence that they had is more than enough to convict her, which is why they went and got the arrest warrant and liaised with South Carolina police officers, and she got arrested there. And then she was extradited back to the United States, back to Colorado. So shut up. Anyway, yeah, none of us have ever seen this. So this is very interesting. And I remember this guy testifying, and this guy was like surgical on that stand, man. He was dope.
So you were charged in the judge in Colorado Springs signed off. So the way this case worked was El Paso County got the original case. They didn't have enough manpower to work it.
Okay.
So they called the FBI. I'm part of for the
Okay. So you heard what he said right there, right? You heard what he said right there, right? It's very interesting. He was explaining to Letecia why he was explaining to Letecia why the FBI was involved in the case. And I think it's very interesting here. So
in Colorado Springs signed off. So the way this case worked was El Paso County got the original case. They didn't have enough manpower to work it.
Okay.
So they called the FBI.
Okay.
I'm part of.
So Colorado Springs, which is much more populated than Rogersville. I promise you that. Colorado Springs did not have the manpower to work that case, that one case. And they knew that Gannon was dead most of the time. They didn't have the manpower. Colorado Springs did not have the manpower. El Paso County did not have the manpower to handle this case without the FBI's assistance. What does that tell you about Hawkins County, people? And yet people still want to flood the TBI's tip line with bullshit. It amazes me.
Part of for the FBI, an extension of the profiling unit, and I came in and assisted. And I've been helping for about the last 3 weeks.
Okay.
So our evidence response team, you've probably seen that on the news, has been doing some searches, etc. And then other FBI agents have been writing warrants.
Okay.
So a lot of warrants have been written. We've gone through the court. El Paso Sheriff's Office and FBI have worked together. And we found enough, you call it probable cause, for a warrant to be issued. So that's why you're here today.
Okay, a warrant for what then?
It was for the murder.
What murder?
Gannon Stauch.
So Gannon is murdered.
That's what the evidence shows.
Okay.
And I'm happy to share with you evidence, but we can't have a conversation.
So she just played dumb and then giggled. Wow.
Unless you're advised of your rights.
Okay, what are my rights?
Uh-oh.
So this is an advice of rights form. I'll fill it out at the top. And you don't have to answer any question.
Oh, I am.
Okay, so I'm not going to force you to answer anything. If you want this interview to be done, it's done. So we're in... So I'd like you to initial these as we go through them. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any questions. You have the right to have a lawyer with you during questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed for you before questioning if you wish. And if you decide to answer questions without a lawyer present, you have the right to stop answering at any time. I'm not going to force you to say anything.
Okay, so I had already had reached an attorney, but all the information is in my phone.
So it's up to you. I'm not going to force you to say anything.
I mean,
if you don't,
I can talk to you, but I mean, see, the last time I asked for an attorney talking to them, I wasn't allowed that after I asked.
That's not how this is going to go. This would be a conversation.
You have more integrity being the FBI that you would do that.
I've got a family to protect,
Okay,
so I'm not going to violate any
I
laws.
don't mind doing that at all. But at any point, I would like to call my attorney if I felt like. Is that okay?
That is okay.
Okay, so can I write that in somewhere, or?
Well, that's this one right here. If you decide to answer any questions without a lawyer present, you have the right to stop at any time. Okay. So, food, water, whatever else. This is not, you're not going to have people saying I want this to be your statement in the conversation. Okay. So, I was thinking of a lot of things to say to you today because I've been helping, I've been involved. I've unfortunately worked a lot of missing kids cases. That's why they called me to do this.
Okay.
A lot of time with Mark, who was the dad. Dylan, who actually was in Colorado Springs with Mom, went to go see Dad. This was in November of 2012.
Right.
And then he disappeared. So it's a lot like what happened here.
Right.
What I think happened with Mark is friends, and Mark wouldn't let him go.
Okay.
And I think Mark got upset. I think Dylan did some things that irritated Mark. I think there was just a punch in the face sort of thing.
Right.
And I think things went downhill from there.
Well,
and I'm not saying that's what happened with you.
I can help you because what you're charging me with is not, or whoever, is not the case. Gannon is alive. Okay, and I can help you.
Okay, great.
But see, here's the problem. When I reached out to people about getting help, I said, hey, I need someone who's going to help me to help you guys. I couldn't get that from anyone at all.
We're happy to help you.
Okay, so I understand you might say you have whatever evidence that you might say you have, but that's not a case. I did not hurt my child. Okay. Need more assistance besides just FBI. You're probably going to need some DEA, probably need a lot of help.
Well, I'm happy to get whatever help. Okay. How do you know?
But I can't help you unless people are willing to help me. And I did offer every opportunity to sit down and talk with not only my husband, but with Landon to try to come up with the best thing to do it. I really did. And I've been begging every single day, please, please, please don't say this.
Why the fuck you lying?
I know you're expert in your feelings, okay? I know you may say you have whatever evidence you have, but it's just not true. Okay?
It's not true that Gannon's dead?
I'm not going to sit here and say 100%. I can tell you that there's really things that have occurred that I can help you guys with to know that. And it leads back to some things just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Okay, that's the truth.
Okay.
That is the very truth. And every day that went by, I had to do nothing but not only protect myself, but protect my family in this, protect other people in this, and that's just what it's been.
So I think our biggest problem is what happened at the house then.
At the house?
Yes.
Well, there's nothing that would have happened at the house that has anything to do with what I'm talking about at all. That has nothing to do with anything. Because you guys have clearly put out this information about Gannon not coming home, and then this and that and the other. And I get, like I said, you're experts. I get people with forensics are experts. I understand that. But it's just not the truth. It's just not the truth. And until I know that I got to get help from some people other than someone just having me in a room.
You got to get help to do what?
I got to get help to give everyone what they need, because I'm going to need my mom protected. Okay, I'm going to need my brother and sister protected. And most importantly, I'm going to need Harley protected. And on that same note, I'm also going to need other people in Colorado protected. And see, people say FBI can offer that protection.
You can.
How?
If it involves an 11-year-old, if it involves finding an 11-year-old, then we can.
And it means that we can have new identities.
It does. Yeah. I've had to do that before. We call it an informant, but we can do it for. We can do it for the general public. Who else would you trust?
I don't know at this point, sir. I don't know. There's nothing that happened at any house. Nothing that happened at any house that would have hurt, harmed, murdered, done anything to anyone. Okay? Wrong place, wrong time.
You were in the wrong place, or Gannon was?
I was.
What about Gannon?
We all were in the wrong place. Even my family was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Even Lena, even Harley. Okay? It was all of us in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I swear to you on that.
So,
but I gotta get
just like you have trust issues, let me tell you where I am.
Okay.
So I'm with the FBI, where when a child goes missing, if they're underage, then we can get involved, and it can be even a kidnapping. So if Gannon is moved from one point to another without his, will, then it's a child kidnapping.
Right.
And so that's what we're working this as. And with me as a federal employee, with me working a federal case, because right now it's filed with the district attorney, but the U.S. attorney could file it as well. Does that make sense?
What do you mean?
The U.S. attorney is the federal prosecutors.
Gotcha.
Right now it's on the state. When you're talking to me, we are recording this for your integrity and mine.
Right.
But if you'd rather not say something, if I would rather you just say I don't want to answer it instead of telling me something that's not true.
Okay.
Because there's something called false statements, which is it's U.S. Code 1001, to where if you lie to us during an investigation, that can be a year of prison time. So that's why I said on this last one, if you want to not answer a question, I'm not going to push you.
Okay.
Okay. So with these people, taking Gannon or whatever else, if it's not true, just say I'd rather not answer that. Okay, because we're different than your local detectives and whatever else. It's not a felony to lie to them.
Okay.
Okay, so my goal, though, is to find Gannon.
Right.
And if you need protection, if there truly is someone out there, we can provide that.
That's not me.
What happened, though, I will need you to explain what happened from that night.
Which night?
The night that he disappeared. Because I've looked at all the news stories. We have been listening to your phone for the last month. It probably doesn't surprise you.
Okay.
We're listening to other people's phones as well, trying to find this kid.
Okay.
And we know from the internet and whatever else, there's a lot of stories out there. So if someone truly took Gannon, though, we need to know the real story, because you put out quite a few different stories.
I put out to who?
To you. Well, we heard a lot of the stories to Al.
To Albert?
Mm-hmm.
You mean like talking to him? Oh, okay. So let me just explain that to you, and you might think that's like super, like.
I'm not going to judge you here, Letecia.
Whatever. To him was the reason I already knew someone was listening to him, but because of him not, it was like being like supportive, and I tried originally to talk to him when he first got there. That was the only reason I said those things to him, was just because I was out of anger and out of like hurt and not being able to have like support. It was nothing to do with like I'm sitting here going to tell you these stories. That was just anger, stupidity, and I already knew, like if you heard it, you heard me say a lot of times, I know people are listening, because I know the same time that someone called, every time I could hear people. Right. I knew that. So me saying those things to him was just being
okay, smart ass. Let's see what this mystery's all about.
Selfish or facetious. or whatever you want to call it, just because that was, I was hurt by him not wanting to work together to figure this out, because I did have like originally initial different thoughts on certain things, and that was me trying to like basically read him and try to figure the situations out. So I understand that you may have heard those or whatever you may have heard, and that's okay, because that totally was not it. That was not me trying to be. That was just being stupid to him.
So I have a question for you in regards to that. Were you of sound mind? I mean, did you have? Are you undergoing any treatment for anxiety or any depression or anything like that right now? Or?
I mean, like, you mean, like, I've had anxiety since I was like 16, 17-ish maybe, but like, as far as like, undergoing like any kind of special treatment or, like, sometimes I might have to take like a little Razapram or something like that.
Right.
But, I didn't see like counselors or like anything for any kind of like depression and then plus two, like right now, well, I'm sure if you already got medical records, I'm 8 weeks pregnant, so I can't take any kind of like, I mean, I wish I could, because then it would help a lot with anxiety, but I can't. So.
Okay.
But
so you were of sound mind when you were talking to Al. You were just.
See, this dude is super smart, because like he's already going for, he already knows her type. He knows that he's aware of all the evidence that they have against her, and he knows what she's going to try to do is plead not guilty by reason of insanity. He's already trying to like eliminate that possibility.
You were upset with him and upset with the situation of him not being by your side through this whole thing.
Right. But then at the same time, like, I have to sit back and think that, you know, in a person's brain, you hear 100 different things, you do get discombobulated and just try to like do whatever. And I just wanted him to know, because he knows, like, I've been taking care of our kids like for so long.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Their mom was gone, and I'm not here to bash either one of them. They had a lot of different separate situations going on that I've always taken care of the kids. And so there's been times I've protected them from so many people.
You basically had to raise them on your own because he was gone a lot.
Well, he was gone a lot, and Mom was doing whatever she was doing.
Sherry,
so
I superchatted because of you.
Step in and protect
Grandmaster
them
so
many times.
Thank you.
What kind of dad would you say Al was to Gannon or is to Gannon?
Oh, he's a good dad. Like, I mean, as far as like being like there for him and like, you know, how can I say it? Like, if he says, hey, I want to go do something, Albert works a lot, so he's tired and his hours are like kind of, you know, up in the air here and there. But for the most part, he like is always trying to make sure he puts, you know, like the kids, military first, and always will be. That's the mindset. And then,
did you go into the marriage knowing that? That military was first?
Well, I grew up like knowing that my stepdad was here. Actually, that's why I was looking at that guy's name. But my stepdad was here growing up in the Air Force Base. So I lived on like a lot of Air Force bases and things like that. So like I maybe didn't understand it from parent perspective. I mean, I'm sorry, spouse perspective, like my mom's perspective. Right. But I did understand it from like a child perspective. But the thing about it was Albert didn't have to like go be deployed or anything like that. It was mostly like work through the night type thing. So it was like we were blessed in that way of not having to, you know, like have to see him go overseas or something like that.
Right.
That was the good part.
And you guys have been married 6 years, 5 years?
5 years.
5 years. And you came to the marriage with Harley.
Right.
Yeah. And then Elena's the youngest.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And then we had like maybe I think 4 or 5 want to like kind of midterm miscarriages because we always try to like have kids, and I don't know, like something must have happened like when I get to a certain point, so we would have had a lot more kids.
Right.
So yeah.
Do you think Al was faithful to you? Was he cheating on you?
I don't like. We never had like any conversations until like, of course, Mad like recently.
So how did you like that?
Love that. I want to ride that horse again sometime. Oh yeah.
Like fusses, or it might be something like Albert's the type of person when he got off work, he just liked to come home. He wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go do this with people. He just wasn't that type of person, and that was the good part, because he wasn't, like, not saying you can't, like, I know, sure, you might say if a football game's on, you might want to go and watch with your friends.
Right.
But usually, for the most part, we do it together or go over there and do something together, but it was never really like having our own people that we did things with and was kind of together. So we never like had issues of anything like that. Most of the time, the issues that we always had was I never wanted the kids to ever come back here a lot of times during like their breaks, and we would get like, I don't want to say arguments about it, but he would always say, well, I have to, I'm obligated, to do these things.
So you don't think he was cheating on you prior to this whole thing going on with Gannon? Did you suspect?
That Albert was cheating on me?
Mm-hmm.
No, there's been times in the past where I've saw that he's talked to other women, like on messages and things like that. But then he's also like, you guys have my phone in the past, he would have saw that he's always apologized for, like those things, like saying.
Were you guys considering divorce? You and Albert?
I didn't know anything about any kind of divorce. Like, I know, like, we've used the term loosely, because there was a lot of stress having to deal with, like, the situation with Landon. There was a lot of stress because, like, we fought so hard and so long to get kids to, like, a safe, situation. So it was very hard to, like, you've read someone and they're so emotionally like upset about the kids not being with us and we not being able to protect them that it was kind of hard. It took a lot, toll throughout that time frame of like Alaska. I'm sure you know about the time in Alaska and things like that. So during that time in Alaska and stuff like that, it was very hard to like have to see him be so upset from so many miles away. And, we get calls that kids didn't have a place to stay. We get calls that there was guns in the back of their car and people were being arrested. And so that took its toll in the terms of like figuring we should not have to like go through these things. But then once like we got to Colorado, we all could be in like one place. And then it was like first it was like kind of hard because you've been, like back and forth to Alaska for so long. Because, if you know the background, I had the kids here for their school year for Gannon and Lena. So it was Lena's was the first grade year, and Gannon's fourth grade year. Yeah. So they would have went to school here in Myrtle Beach. So I had.
It's so rude of her to do that, like in that small little room.
In here with us then, and so still with that, it was us being apart, going back and forth, traveling on holidays, things like that. So that would have been the most, difficult time. Like so when we got to Colorado, it was just like, okay, we're here. We are doing things together. We said stupid things to each other. Like, I don't even want to say on camera, but like the things that we could do to be like, okay, we'll forget all this, or if you do this, we'll do it, we'll forget all this. But it's stupid, silly stuff, nothing that would make sense.
So it seems like you guys had a pretty solid marriage.
Good Lord.
I mean,
besides him being gone a bunch.
Which is why I was so upset about not being like supportive, because I know that like when I tell you we went like debt money, spending things to have attorney fees for like the custody, the Gardner Litem or Ovalite, whatever the gal. Like we spent so much money and doing all those things and like working together to do all that, and it was so I guess like upsetting that he wasn't. So I did have anger, fire out stupid stuff because I was so pissed and like really wanting to like talk with him or Landon like together so I could like just explain like, hey, this is what I think we can do in this situation. So it was just me trying to get him to talk to me like privately. I already knew you guys were listening or whatever. I already knew about that,
Al was just singularly focused on what happened again. And besides this situation, have you ever been around a parent who a child goes missing before and not returned home?
No.
Because I've worked with a family. It was a serial killer case I had in 2006, and the guy was picking off daughters.
Were you picking them off?
Yes, in Denver. He was actually on
Ladies and gentlemen, Luann has departed the airport. She'll be departing the chat and probably getting caught in a little bit of nasty weather on the way out. But we'll make sure to get this chat back going for you. And as soon as Luann has left the airport.
An informant of ours, which was not our best day.
Okay.
But he was going around killing these girls, and then they were high risk girls, so they were working, on the street some or using drugs or whatever. But some of these girls, we haven't returned them home.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a parent of a missing kid versus even a deceased kid,
mm-hmm.
it's a lot different because you're looking at every corner. You're looking to say, is that my daughter or my son? Even if you think they're dead,
right.
And your mind goes to the worst, but you even though we've convicted this killer for killing these girls
mm-hmm.
because he confessed to them and whatever else, we still don't have the girls.
Luann said, "Fickle off." Oakley dokley, Luann. Oakley dokley, we'll be sure to go ahead and do that for you.
Girls to bring home.
Right.
And so there's no closure. And I'm seeing Al from a distance going through that because I still deal with dads 14 years later
mm-hmm.
who are looking for their daughters right. at bus stops and malls and whatever. So,
and see, that's the hard part is like people are like, being upset. And I'm like, I haven't.
Luann's last name is Flanders, just for the record.
Haven't had the opportunity to like even just sit down and be like, okay, look, I've given my life to take care of these children. I have. They should not be anymore.
Right.
And that I've done that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so hard because inside that I don't get to express that emotion to have that, to say to anyone or anything like that. And that's the most difficult part.
Yeah.
Because I've had to just be like, how can I
What's up, Busy Pop?
make the situation back, come on, sir, let's be honest.
I'm John.
John.
Yeah.
She said, let's be honest.
Like Albert was talking about, and again, whether you make them say this or not. I mean, literally, woke up on Christmas. I always make it about the kids on Christmas because they don't get to spend Christmas with us.
You need to shut the fuck
they might leave,
up.
School gets out. We might not see them until January. So I always spent my time trying to make sure every time I didn't believe in certain holidays, I didn't believe in Halloween, but to make sure every holiday was like revolved around the situation. So if you look at the situation, I went, we have every house and we have cars and we have whatever. So I worked my entire life in education and got a doctorate degree in education.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's like everything I worked so hard for, everything I worked in, 16 years in the military or, service and things like that, no matter how much we had did on that, it took us everything to get the
right.
And that was where we were at in our safe spot. So for a person who can, take care of everyone and do everything for everyone, and then just cannot do it for a split second, that's the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that this is an image getting set on me, all these horrible things, all these things that are just not true.
Well, that's what we'd like to get to today.
And that's,
Yeah. So I'd like to talk about the split second, but first let's go to
You serious?
Gannon, because what we do is called victimology.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of that before?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So victimology is we find out as much as we can about Gannon, the victim,
mm-hmm.
and even if he's safe somewhere, even if he's not, knowing more about him, especially since you were the last person with him, helps us to try to figure out. Like, say we don't have a suspect, somebody's killed, but we have nothing.
Okay.
Then we will look at that person to see what drew that homicide there. Why did those two people interact at that time?
I find it interesting that because this interrogation is 4 hours long. Think about that for a second. This interrogation is 4 hours long. Like, when you watch this shit in the movies, because this is what I'm trying to get at, is the difference between this and the movies, right? Real life and the movies. Because when you're watching the movies, what happens is they got the person sitting there waiting, and then the FBI agent walks in and then takes a file, slaps it on the table, and goes, "We got you." And then they start opening the file and showing pictures of the crime scene. Luminol. We've got Blue Star, positive, blah, 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 blah. Spatter on the wall. Because they have all this already. Like, she's been placed under arrest. And yet they haven't found Gannon's body just yet. But they know she killed him because they found the blood spatter and the blood that soaked through the mattress, through the carpet, and onto the floor. And they could determine that it was enough blood that nobody could survive losing. So they knew. They had all this. I think it's very interesting that this guy right here he's like, he already understands that this person's not going to plead guilty. They're not going to there's no deal to be made here. They know he's dead. He wants her to talk. He wants 4 hours of her rambling and coming up with a different story besides the other God knows how many she's already told. At least 4. At the very least 4 stories she's told so far before getting arrested. So I think it's interesting that this tactic, I mean, it's just patient. Nobody's in a rush. Nobody's saying, we got you cold. This guy's not doing that. This guy's got a very, very finesse. He's got a certain finesse to his style of interrogation, which is very fascinating.
And then we'll also do things like it's the subject, the situation, and the location. So something happened. Gannon's here. You have someone or something that did him harm, and then you have why the location.
Okay.
So we have those 3 things. And, we've looked through your house and, done the CSI stuff and looked at all the, body fluids all over the house and garage and whatever else. So that's all been done. I'm curious to see your challenges of Gannon here when you had to be a parent, and then there. Challenges, successes, whatever else. What special attention did he need? What can you tell me about him?
Well, here he was younger, 4th grade. Get started mature a little bit, hitting towards the
You're a little cunt.
Uh-huh.
So, like, here he was more so of, like, let's see. At that time and situation here, okay, so prior to that, we never got to see him except, like, every other weekend for the longest time.
Okay.
Right? All right, so then when Albert, we finally paid all the money and got the attorney, whatever, Albert had to choose between getting out of the military or the kids, in a way, kind of, because Mom wasn't giving him so then that's when we step in and say, keep him here, let him here, and I'll stay here with him, and then, we'll go from there.
Right.
So during that time, he also didn't get to see his mom. A, she didn't have a place to live. B, she was also, she had a baby, but then mainly to her, I'm not going to trash her. I'm going to say she was married to someone who didn't take care of them, who wouldn't take care of them like they should, with her being pregnant in that situation. So with Mom not having that foundation support, she wasn't able to
You know what I wish would happen?
come to the house a lot. And when she did come to the house,
And his name is John C.
And John Cena just busted in there and just fucking put her through the table. That shit would be so funny.
house, each time she came, that she was like, she just wasn't in a good place. So I let her stay at her home. And Gannon had a tough time every time because in his mind, he just wanted to be like a substance care. Substance care.
What? His stepsister?
Yeah.
You mean Harley?
No.
Oh, Landon's?
Yeah. No.
I don't.
Mia. Mike's daughter.
Got it.
You know Mike, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he wanted it to be like Mike's daughter, which was they go to mom and dad's house for a week and go to mom and dad's house.
Right.
You know, so
Got it.
that was Gannon's mindset when he was here. Grandparents, amazing people, which is Landon's family. Amazing people, Grandma, I think he calls her Nana and Poppy. Great people.
No offense, but you are a stupid asshole.
They would always come get them on weekends and things like that, so that I'd have time to, like, you know, do whatever I needed to do, or if I wanted to go shopping or go hang out with people, whatever. So we had all that, you know, going on here. The missing piece was, you know, Albert had to, you know, serve our country.
Yep.
Gannon would do his schoolwork, very smart. I think he made all A's here in fourth grade. I'm pretty sure he made all A's here in fourth grade. So made all A's here, didn't have like an issue at all.
Well, what was he like when he got home from school? Because Albert's out, you're having to take care of him.
Well, to be honest with you, I got him from after school, which was about like 5:30ish. So by the time we did homework, and all those things, it was almost time to like get ready for bed.
Are you doing his homework with him? Is he doing it on his own? What?
See, the difference between schools, and I'm not trying to talk about Colorado, if you're from Colorado, the difference between Colorado and South Carolina schools was South Carolina did a lot more history and those types of things. Table a lot of times and like really work on, like, he was a mathematical. He's so like his dad. Gannon is just like his dad. He is so mathematically inclined, you know, like an engineer type brain. So when it came to anything history and reading science stuff, unless it was something he liked, he didn't like. So we spent hours sometimes, you know, working on those things. But with knowing the curriculum, it was easy for me because I already knew the South Carolina curriculum. And so by the time we did that, it was time for him to go to bed, you know, yada, 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 yada. So
That's here. So,
yeah.
And what about in Colorado?
So,
How is that different?
Well, when we get to Colorado, of course, I start them in school, which would have been August. Okay. So I start them in school. It was a big help because Gannon is at this point a little bit more mature. He knows he'd stay with us. Because I took him to Alaska and homeschooled him before we got to Colorado. I homeschooled him for those 2 months. And then we transitioned into Colorado. Actually, it wasn't August. I'm sorry, I told you story. It was that January that we got here because I homeschooled him November, December, not of this past time, but of the year before. Okay. Sorry, I didn't.
So January 2019.
Yeah. So
Wait. I think I can actually. Is that? Can I actually hear Luann in the chat? Is that? Wait. Luann? Is that you? What? How is this possible that I can hear you? Oh my God. It's gonna be okay, Luann. It's gonna be okay. Luann, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. It's okay, Luann.
So I homeschooled him 2018, November, Christmas time, because mom couldn't get him in for whatever reason. Then we came on to, I think she ended up getting him, and she flew them back to Colorado for a week or something. She got for a week maybe. Flew them back to Colorado. So January 2019, we would have started school in Colorado.
Okay.
All right, so I'll get them in school, which Colorado, I mean, I think it was like middle May, they would go to school in Colorado, middle May.
Right.
So February, March, April, okay. So it was pretty simple in the terms of we would do like, you know, he never had homework in Colorado for some reason. So it was always Albert would be like make them write their labs or, you know, make them go do all these things. And then, you know, it was time for them.
I'm just kidding. That's not Luann. That baby's mad because I stole his shirt.
For the summer.
So what time does he normally get home from school?
Well, around that time he went to another school because this new school wasn't built.
Okay.
So it would have been like 3:45, 4 o'clock, maybe just because of having to come from across town.
Mm-hmm.
And then come in, let's see.
Fall.
Yeah, so they came back in August. So we went on, Gannon was on a big cruise in the summer because he didn't want to go on to the farm. Right away, we gave him a choice. You want to go on a family cruise or you want to go, you know, to your mom's house. And he said he wanted to go on a cruise. So we all went on a big family cruise, Dominican, and I forgot a couple of places. So it was just me, him, Harley, and Albert. So it was just the 4 of us, and Lena didn't go. So we all went on this family cruise and had a great time, whatever. And of course they come here for the summer and then they get ready to come back for fall. So they come back for fall, and at this point in time, I was working. Albert was doing like the shifts, like 3-2.
You had your teaching job in the fall?
3-2. He was like working and all these things.
Okay.
Well, Harley was working, I think, and starting Pikes Peak College, So we were all pretty busy like throughout the day. And then in the evening, it was kind of like, come in, grab this, grab this.
Is Luann gone? I think she's gone. Hey, all right.
But then I was coaching. So as I was,
what were you coaching?
Softball. So as I was
at your school?
At the high school.
At the high school.
So as I was coaching softball, I probably didn't get home sometimes till like 5:30, maybe sometimes later, just depending on if it was a game, a practice, or something like that. So honestly, a lot of the help had to come from either Harley doing a lot of it, if Albert was working, or Gannon had to independently, do a lot of it himself.
How did he get home?
Which they were teaching. At this point in time, they were in the...
Oh, fuck, she's back. So sad. So sad. No, we're not going to block her. She's fine. I mean, probably not, but we're not going to block her, though.
We're in the new school.
Right.
So the new school, because we lived 1.5 miles out, the new school allowed him to take the bus. If not, they had the rest of the way they had to walk.
Okay.
So coaching was over, probably around, it's weird because they do softball spring, not spring, they do fall there instead of spring. So coaching was over maybe around like October, November. Gannon started having a hard time because he was wanting to go home for Thanksgiving. When I tell you Gannon, he loves his Nana. Like that's his, if it was up to him, he'll just, I'll be at Nana's house all the time because he loves Nana. So he wanted to go because he has two little boy cousins. If you know, Gannon has 4 sisters and he doesn't have any brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So he, in his way, those 2 little boys are like his little brothers.
Okay.
So if he goes to Nana's house, he can spend a lot of time.
Luann said, "Wow."
Cousins of his something like that, and then they can all just hang out and do those things. But he didn't get to go for Thanksgiving. Albert had to work. So we I don't really cook. We've always eaten out. Whenever it's my turn. So I just said, hey, listen, we'll go out to dinner. We did all this Thanksgiving. Tried to make it up the best that I could get because I'm not his mom, but he wanted to be there with the family, because it's the holidays and that's what I'm used to. And then of course Christmas came around, and then the same thing kind of happened at Christmas. But then we worked it out, and we figured out a plan to get him home for Christmas so that they would be able to.
So he went to Nana's for Christmas.
Spend time with the family, yeah. Because mom never had a house. So Albert said it's okay if they go, and then they just have to get Nana's house. And that was our biggest worry. Is have you ever been here before today?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you look on the boulevard and things like that, there's a lot of kind of hotels, not the best places, and that was where they were staying at home for me. When they would come, and so that was why they were like, no, it has to be
a house. Yeah. So then, is Gannon responsible for taking his own? He has ADHD medicine, right? Does he do that on his own? Do you help him with that?
Most of the time, how it worked is I got all lunchboxes ready, set them on. We've been in the house with the stove that's in the corner beside the refrigerator. We would set the lunchboxes out, snacks, and let them pick. And I usually always pick before Lena because he just knew that he could get it. If he beat her up, he could pick the snacks he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So he would pick
what the fuck are you talking about?
And I would lay if Albert wasn't getting them up, I'd lay his ADHD medicine, which is Vyvanse, 20 milligrams. I would lay his Vyvanse on the counter. And so
what form is it? Just tablet? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would lay it on the counter, and he would know, come in and take it.
How does he take it? Is it with water?
Yeah. He doesn't even use water half the time.
Okay.
He just
right.
He's been taking it since he was.
Okay. So, is there any other that he's on, or no? Like Adderall or anything else?
Oh my God! I don't care.
I tried one medicine, but the Vyvanse worked. That was it. That was the one.
Any of the other kids on medication?
Mm-mm.
Hardly. No. Okay.
No, nobody else was on any kind of.
What about you or Al?
I don't know anything other than when I told you about the lorazepam. But see, the thing about lorazepam was they might give it to me, and I might not get it again for 6 months. It might be 30 tablets, but it's only for panic attacks or things like that. As far as Albert, I know he has the gout, so I know I don't even know what it's called.
Right.
I'm sure it's nothing that.
But nothing that he could could mix up medications with or whatever in the morning. Take somebody else's meds or anything.
Not that I'm worried. Now there's stuff in the counter from probably old stuff or Harley had her wisdom teeth taken out. I think Albert did, but I'm pretty sure he might have been smart to get rid of that stuff. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But none of us had any what you might call hardcore drugs or anything like that.
So I'm asking you that because of the bath salts deal that he came up with. That was on the hype day, wasn't it?
So the bath salt thing was just totally because they did this drug class at school, which is the same class that my 5th grade did too. And then sort of these people came in and they dressed up in like, I say dressed, they were professionals. They are medical professionals. They dressed in their outfits and all those things. And they let the kids like pretend they were working on like, what do they call those things? You know, like as if they're doing CPR and all that. And during that time frame, they went over all these different drugs. So they talked about what your life is on crack. They talked about doing cocaine, like all these. Like it was very, very like in depth for 5th grade. But at the same time, you got to think it was probably a good thing to kind of talk to kids
So was
about.
Gannon telling you about this, or did you find out from a teacher, or how did you find out they had this in-depth conversation?
Well, I knew because they did it at our school first. So they did it our school first. So it was something, once they found out they did it at our school and they saw like a couple of pictures and things like that, other teachers wanted to know about it. So when the other teachers wanted to know about it, they went around different schools and then they signed like, I think Albert signed a permission slip or maybe sent an email to the teacher or whatever that it was okay for him to.
So was Gannon fascinated with the bath salt thing, or how did that conversation happen? Because I know that seemed to be important, during the hike and afterwards. And whatever.
Well, he was like, okay, so Mike apparently would deliver these packages, and we never knew what they were. We were told meat, we were told whatever. We don't know. But Albert would always talk to Gannon about anytime people had anything to do with like drugs and things of that sort. He would always say like, these are bad people. If you see anything like this is bad things. So Gannon already had like some sort of base foundation about it, and because he had like that sort of base foundation about it, he always had like questions because I think that was so small. Like that was always his big concern, is that he was wanting to know because his baby knows what's going to be okay. He knows it's right. His baby knows what's going to be okay. And that was like his main concern in that aspect, was wanting to know these things because he was just curious of how like all these things work.
So were you guys on the hike when he brought it up, or where were you?
He had already brought it up prior to the hike.
Okay.
He had already said something when he came home after this.
Was it a concern for you? Tell me what he said and how your conversation went.
Honestly, sir, I don't remember. I just remember he was telling us about the different things that they were talking about on it. And then I was like, oh, did you guys do this? And they were like, yeah. And then I was like, oh, did y'all do this? So it was kind of like mimicked the same way. So we did talk about that a lot.
Was that before hike, you said?
Yeah, leading up to it, before the hike, there was a lot of talk about it, for a little bit. And then, of course, at the hike, I think he said a few things.
What did he say?
I just remember he was talking to me.
And was it concerning to you?
Like
what he was saying? Like he really wanted to try these things, or what?
Like I didn't think anything about him wanting to try any of it or to do anything with it. I know that he said something about it, and I gave him a bath bomb.
When he said something, what did he say?
He just asked me in general about if we had bath salts, because to be honest with you, he had already pooped how many times in his pants.
So he said that after he pooped on the hike?
He pooped a couple of times on the hike, yeah. Like, when I say poop, I don't mean like, it might be like...
You need to shut the fuck up!
Right, and so it was the whole thing about bath salts was just, I think he just wanted to like relax, because he ended up taking 2 baths. So, I mean...
Now, I don't want to be weird, but are you giving him baths? Is he taking them?
No. Gannon goes by himself, and he just, he's very like, helpful, independent. Like I taught him some independent skills where he can go in there and just he'll forget to like bring his clothes up or the simple things like that. But
okay, so he takes 2 baths that night, or 1 bath that night, 1 the next morning, or
no? So I think when we got home, he took 1. Me and Lena went to go get food. And then I think he had used the bathroom again. So he took another one. I think when me and Lena got back, he was maybe taking a bath. I don't really remember. And then she took 1 somehow.
Because they share a bathroom in the basement?
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
So?
No one. The basement was used by Harley.
Okay. So where's his bedroom?
Okay, so the bedroom's downstairs, but the bathroom, remember, is like where Harley's room is at.
That's right. So where did he take the bath? Upstairs?
So the bath's upstairs.
Got it.
Usually.
And what happens with the clothes? Does he kind of poop them?
What do you mean?
Does he throw them in the washer? Do you have to take care of it, or?
I don't wash anyone's clothes, but.
Do you not? Does he take care of his own? Then?
Well, we get on him about if you want to earn technology time, you have to go do your own clothes. You have to like have chores around the house, and you have to do all these things. So that's kind of like how it works too. Okay. Everybody has their own. I don't even do Albert's clothes.
Right.
So, like I don't even.
That's good. 11-year-old taking care of himself.
Well, not necessarily taking care of.
Well, and just in that aspect.
Right. He was so like a boy in the terms of clean clothes. Like he could wear the same. Again, he'll wear the same shirt like 2 days. And he has to like go change it.
So what does an argument look like with Gannon? Have you guys ever argued?
Like maybe like in Myrtle Beach, we would have been like we're so much alike. So we are so much alike in terms of we both have stomach problems, really, really bad.
So, in other words, Letecia is a greasy, smelly, unhygienic, lying, murdering, useless. Totally fucking useless. Like this woman, the more I hear her, I'm like an absolute total waste of fucking space. Not even like there's not one fucking redeeming thing about this asshole. Not one. Like, this is what I'm saying. I don't even wash fucking Al's clothes. What? Now, I'm not saying that the wife should be doing the laundry necessarily, but if you are left in charge of children, okay? Because her answer was straight up, no, I don't do that. But you're left in charge of these children and you won't fucking work. You steal money from Al, and while you're home, you're not even, and Al's gone for work. The kids' laundry, I mean, so where the fuck does she get off losing patience with Gannon? If Gannon is totally taking care of himself, she's the one admitting this. She's the one saying so. She's not sitting here jumping to the super mom persona right now, even though it would benefit her to do so. At least you would think that she would think that it would benefit her. I don't think it would necessarily, but at least you would think that she would think that it would benefit her. And she can't even fucking, I mean, all of these lies, and you're not even going to white lie about doing the kids' laundry. You know what I mean? Like all the other lies, and you want to deliberately make everyone know that you are a useless sack of fucking greasy shit. Wow.
We both have like anxiety, so to speak, you know. Mm-hmm. And he's so kind and like kind-hearted, and then the point of like we can get upset about something, but then the next minute he'll be like I am. He'll be like, oh, you know, talk about something, or we'll just say something, and he had tremendously increased the amount in Myrtle Beach. I don't think I ever heard him be like, I love you, or like, you know, like it might, like, holiday might come, you know, they just say, oh, just write something, whatever. But like since having him all the time, it became more of like I would hear I love you like almost all the time, you know. And so I feel like it was on
the holiday, the Christmas before. Is that what you're saying? He disappeared.
Do what now?
When you said around the holiday, he was saying, I love you.
I'm saying like once, yeah.
I agree with you, Meep. That's what I think the motive was. I think the motive was to hurt Landon and Al, really. But yeah, I think what triggered her, for lack of a better term, was the accidents he had on the hike.
Well, yeah, once we started more and more having, then he and I became a lot closer because of just like wanting to have that connection with both the kids.
Surely you had some arguments with him, though. Did you ever have to discipline him or no?
Well, I never spanked any of the children, never, because I just don't believe in spanking other people's kids. So never had that. Now, as far as like, okay, you are in trouble, you're going to do this. Yeah, that's with any kid, with any of them.
So that means you're okay with spanking your own kids. Good to know.
The biggest disagreement you had with Gannon?
Now that doesn't make her abusive, but it's definitely a red flag when I should say it doesn't necessarily make her abusive. Only because I am no one to tell people how to raise their kids, and I grew up in a generation where you got spanked. So but it's definitely a red flag when you're questioning somebody for murdering an 11-year-old boy. That's for sure.
Biggest disagreement. I think probably because he doesn't, and again, he probably shouldn't have this on him as a kid, but not like seeing the light of how he couldn't go home. He was so like, kind of like forgiving it's okay, mommy don't have money to do it, and if I said anything like, well, and I probably shouldn't have, but I did, I would be like, well, if she quit doing this, she could pay for it. And I would always figure out a way. But then it was like, I'd say I wanted him to see that.
So was this a certain incident?
Do I know?
The biggest disagreement you had, was this a certain time? Or
No, we never had like big, like there was never any like big all out. When you say disagreement, clashes or like screaming, shouting?
Well, I'm a parent, so I've had mine.
You mean
disagreements,
like
yelling.
like that kind of disagreement. But
that's my theory as well. Put it in a nutshell, I think that she lost control, hit him. It left marks, and which is why she wouldn't let him go to school the next day. I think that she kept him from school. Possibly, or he was having those bowel problems and he was afraid to go to school because he didn't want to get made fun of, which is also extremely plausible. But either way, I think that she hit him, whether it was the night before or whether it was the day of. Yeah, I know about the burn, but I'm wondering about the burn. Like, I don't know if she deliberately burned him. I don't know if she deliberately burned him to try to cover up another injury so that she could say that, so that she could come up with some half-cocked scheme to get him in on it and make him lie and say that he was playing with a candle and he burned himself. I mean, as I was saying before, I was talking about this day before yesterday when I was live, and I was saying that the crazy thing about this, and the same thing with Watts, Watts has told a half a dozen different stories, and he's not half as erratic as Letecia is. So all Leticia's done is lie all of this time. It's all she's done this entire time is lie. And now I fear, well, I don't fear, I'm sure of it. I don't think that we'll ever get the truth from Letecia. And if we ever were to get the truth from Letecia, it would be somewhere lost in a basket of lies. Not even a needle in a haystack, just another strand of hay, in a haystack. How would you know? How would you know that that's the truth? Because there's so many other stories. So the sad part is that we'll never, ever, ever get the truth. We'll never know what exactly happened to Gannon. And I don't think we really need to know. We know what we need to know, I think. And the most important thing that I think that we need to know is the forensic evidence dictates, and I won't go into detail, but the forensic evidence dictates that Gannon fought back. The Gannon being this loving, wouldn't hurt a fly type of person, just wanted to help people. He fought back, did the best he could. And so I think that that's good enough for me, if I'm being completely honest.
But never not like a.
So what's the most
physical,
upset you've been with Gannon?
where we've like.
Or you've had to yell.
Oh,
I've had to yell at my kids.
I got you. I see what you're saying. So like where we've had to like fuss at each other
Mhm.
over whether or not he did something. If he did something.
That has to happen if you're a parent.
Right. I didn't know what you were saying. I thought you were asking me like.
No, I'm more looking at this from Gannon's point of view. I'm not judging you.
No, I thought you were asking me more of like like weapons or like switches or like something like that. No.
So what's the most intense time you've had with Gannon, as far as you're yelling, he's yelling, that sort of thing? That has to have happened, especially with stepkids.
I mean, yeah, of course.
So what time do you remember?
Probably times that I don't remember specific times. I say all around Albert, like not being disciplined.
Well,
it's interesting how he worded that. He's like that. What was the last time you had a screaming match with Gannon? He didn't ask her, have you ever had a screaming match with Gannon? He was like, when was the last time you had a screaming match with Gannon? You know, that happens. That always happens. And then he said, especially with stepkids. That's not necessarily true. It's not necessarily true. There are stepkids that just get along with their step parents and they just speak civilly to each other no matter what. And even when they're mad at each other, they speak civilly to each other. Nobody raises their voice. It's not crazy to imagine that. This is a very intelligent man. He knows this already. He was just basically cornering her and saying, when was the last time it happened? Not giving her an opportunity to say that it didn't happen. I mean, she could have gone that route, but he kind of tightened the path a little bit. So I thought that was a pretty slick move, just the way he worded that.
When Gannon was just doing something that's totally irrational, unreasonable. I have a boy, I know.
Yeah.
They don't behave all the time.
Right.
So what did Gannon?
I don't know of any like specifics. I just know that we would have. Like if it would have been something that wasn't in what our teachings were, we would have, of course, like yelled.
So you never had to yell at him that you remember?
I just said that to you. I said there have been plenty of times.
Yeah, but I mean a specific one.
I don't know a specific one. I mean, probably from playing.
So I can tell you for me, it's when my son rolled the basketball underneath me. I was going to go in for a layup, and I almost.
I appreciate that, True Crime Dime. But I said earlier, probably before you joined, there was really only a few people in here when I said this, but after I finish up with this FBI interrogation, I think there's it's going to take me at least two streams, including this one included in that. It's going to be at least two streams to cover this, but after this, I don't see any reason to cover anything else. I think that's it. I've covered this case from the beginning, and Letecia is now in prison. It's over. This new footage made itself available to us, and so since I've covered this since the beginning, it seems only appropriate to go over it, and this way I could tell myself I went over everything that matters. So
twisted my ankle and broke my back at the same time.
Okay.
And I yelled at him.
Yeah.
Am I sad I did it now? Yes, but I couldn't help myself. That was a stupid thing to do. He was just seeing, what if I roll the ball under Dad? Not that I even jumped that high. Right. But yeah, I couldn't help it. I turned around and yelled at him. I didn't hurt him or anything.
Yeah.
But that with you being home with just Gannon, and sometimes Atlanta, and sometimes Harley, and I'll be on the road, every once in a while, something had to go wrong.
I mean, you say go wrong, like, yeah, I just...
And you have to say, and you have to set things right, like my son did with me with the basketball.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm curious as far as how Gannon would react if you have to really get onto him for something that he did that was stupid. He's a boy.
Yeah. Gannon wouldn't, like, yell back. Gannon would not, like, yell back and be, like, confrontational. So Gannon would not, like...
It's so sick that she will sit there and openly admit that about Gannon, that he's not confrontational at all. It's so twisted because it just emphasizes how much of a fucking bully she is, you know? coming out of her own face, she's saying that Gannon was basically incapable of being confrontational. It just wasn't him. He didn't do that. He wasn't mean. He was just a sweet kid who just wanted to get along with everybody. And acting as though she's smarter than the FBI, the CBI, the El Paso County Sheriff's Department, acting like she's smarter than all of them. She's throwing in these little truths about Gannon that are compliments, positive things about his personality, about his character. And it also makes him it makes her seem more loving, more of a loving stepmother. But it's as though she just doesn't want to pay attention or even consider that these 3 law enforcement agencies have all the evidence they need to put her away. They know beyond a reasonable doubt already that Gannon was murdered. They know he was murdered in his bed. They know what time he was murdered. They know who was in the house at the time when he was murdered. It's her. They know this. They have all of this information already. But now, she's trying to act like, well, oh, he was so, he's so sweet and blah, 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 blah. He's just not confrontational. No, he would never. No. I mean, it's like so shitty, but at the same time, all it does because of what we know or what law enforcement knows at this point, because they haven't even found Gannon's body yet, but they know that she's responsible, and they know that just talking like that just makes her that much more of a fucking bully. It's just really disgusting.
He might say something smart.
How did he react?
Under his breath.
Do you have an incident you remember or no?
No.
And you had to put your foot down and say, Gannon, that's not acceptable.
No, like if I said that, he pretty much listened to what I said.
Yeah.
It was like I don't remember him screaming back at me at any.
Or just go in his room, slamming the door,
situation,
anything like that.
Slamming the door, room, TV.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
So
more so me like saying something to Albert might have been more of if there was slamming doors or anything. It could have been me like going back saying, Albert, you need to make sure he's not doing.
Like and it's possible that she's holding some truth back because she knows that it's going to be something that he's going to dig deeper on, So if she admits that Gannon was a smartass, or did slam his door or whatever, if she admits any of that, she's admitting to things that may have triggered her and made her mad. So it's possible that she's just not admitting to any of these things for that reason. But it's crazy because the fact that he's not even testy. You know what I mean? He's not even like the kind of kid that would test you and push your buttons. Try to get under your skin. He just wasn't that type of kid at all. Which furthermore, there's literally no even a slither of a shred of an excuse for her murdering him the way that she did. Absolutely nothing. Like, there's not even a provocation. She's basically eliminating any possibility of a provocation to do what she did from Gannon. It's crazy.
Not doing this, and then go from there in that situation.
Okay.
Like Albert was teaching him how to use a box cutter and like different things like that. And there were times that I might have been like, oh, Albert, I don't think you should have done this because he was acting weird in this way. But that would have been early in the beginning before we started getting him like counseling. So once he started getting, you know, like.
Now remind me, the counseling, what was that for?
Do what now?
The counseling?
So Albert said that he should get counseling through the military just for like all the transitions and being like in and out of schools and like all different things like that, just to make sure that his mental like well-being was fine. And Albert said that anytime he would, you know, of course counselors can't tell you, you know, like what was going on unless it was something, you know, pressing. And of course Albert would always come out and say that everything's fine, and then Gannon would come back and tell us what he talked about. But as far as like,
did Gannon ever come at you with a knife or something when there was an incident?
Well, that's what I was just telling you about. There was when Albert was trying to teach him how to use
That's the box cutter.
The box cutter, yeah. So Gannon had this thing about the knife, and he was doing like this, and whoever told you that it was coming at me, that is not.
That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah,
I'm getting the real story here.
No. You've got stories from everywhere, and you probably are not looking at me for mine. But that is not what happened. Gannon was in a upset, which the video was shown to the counselor lady.
Okay.
And Albert was upset because he was like, you should have let me get the video or something like that. But Gannon was in more of like an upset rage because this was in the very beginning when he had to first transition to yet another school.
Was this fall?
No, so this would have been, I don't know if it would have been fall, but okay, so 4th grade, new school, homeschool, then they went to the first school in Colorado, and then the new school opened.
Correct.
So it was somewhere between that time frame of Gannon it was too much transitions for him. That had nothing to do with him being mad at me or being mad at Albert or Landon or whatever. It was too much transitions for him that he was so upset. Like, you know, like.
So where was he when he was doing this? Was he in his room?
I feel like it was in the kitchen. I don't really remember, sir. You're asking me something that was a while ago. I don't remember. Yeah. I mean,
were you threatened by Gannon doing that? Did it make you nervous?
It's so amazing how narcissistic she is, because here she is and she's placed under arrest. She's placed under arrest. She's being charged. She's being charged with Gannon's murder and all these other charges that came with it. And she still hasn't lawyered up. There's no fucking way that I would be talking to that guy without a lawyer. There's just no way that I would be talking to that guy without an attorney present, especially if I've already been charged. Because even if she doesn't have her own attorney at this point, they have to provide her with one. Now she's charged. They have to provide her with counsel. And I would just be like, I'm not talking to you until I get a lawyer. There's no way I'm talking to you until I get a lawyer. And this is just her just completely in love with the idea that she's smarter than everyone else.
Oh, I told Albert, I said it has a mentality. Like in my mind, I said it has a mentality of like he's going to want to. I said not hurt himself, or not specifically hurt someone in general, but specific, but in general. And so like I was a little worried because I thought, you know, like he has so much anger and aggression for what was going on, because it honestly was Albert hadn't even got there yet. I feel like Albert had just either got to Colorado or hadn't got there yet.
Right.
And so he had to go from being with his mom back to me, and then Albert wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was, okay, like, I got to start new school, I got to make new friends, you know, like all those things.
How did you handle it? How did you calm him down?
He just typically always.
I'm specifically with the box cutter thing. How did you calm him down?
I don't know if it was a knife he had then. I was just saying, like, he had been using a box cutter, so that's how he would teach it.
I'm not sure I understand your question exactly, but no, Gannon was properly buried. He has a beautiful plot. It's at the end of the little montage intro I did for Gannon in memory of him. It's at the very end. It's the last shot. But yeah, it's a beautiful plot, actually.
Teaching him. So I remember I took his amiibo. He loves amiibos. And I took his amiibo and I just threw his amiibo out in the front yard. And I told him, I was like, the amiibo's gone. We're never getting it again. And I made him call his mom. Mm-hmm. And so I don't remember what we exactly said, but I know she was basically saying, like, you know, you better listen. She gets upset and sends me a message. I send her a message back, and we were both like mad at each other as in being Landon. And then it was kind of more of like, okay, it's come down. But this was right a year ago, you know. So that was the gist of that. It was he needed that outlet.
Okay.
He needed that counseling.
Well, that helps us. That's what I'm talking about with the victimology thing.
He needed that. He needed
like
that
about him.
He needed that outlet to be able to say, okay, when I have anger and I have upset, because he typically, like I said, Gannon doesn't get angry and just, you know, lash out or say anything like that. He doesn't like, or if he says something smart back to Albert, it's usually he's very literal. He'll say something and then be like, oh,
right.
So that's in your assessment of him. I could probably kind of one hand on the times that Gannon would have been
aggressive like that.
Right, and not even to the point of aggressive of like he actually acted upon it, other than showing signs. And I think once we got the counseling in place, he was able to have his friends. Now he knew he was in a place that.
I don't think they're watching through this. This is a brand new thing.
Like,
they even said it's like backwards because the camera's there, but the window's there, so the seat should be there anyway.
But no, I just didn't know because I thought I heard violence. So he never like really just had a hard time until the counseling, and once the counseling was in play, I seen leaps in the way that not only he acted, but our relationship with each other, relationship with dealing with, okay, go do this. Sir, it's so hard because
John, okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm old, but don't call me
John. It's so hard because if I get up in the morning and I have,
You're
would even say, you want me to take the dogs out so you can have 10 more minutes of sleep? And I convinced him into changing my name. So I had him on board of like calling me a different name, you know, and so because I didn't like my original name, so I had him on board of calling me a different name. So the helpfulness through not only just the counseling and then having that stability became so great for him.
Good.
And that's the piece that I really wish, you know, like I know you sit here and say you've heard people say stuff or talk.
I'm surprised she didn't try to take that pen out of his hand and attack him with it.
Whatever. And you've spent your career going through people who you've had to help and people who you've known bullshit or whatever. But Gannon benefited so much from going in there that he was able to talk to us. And that's when I started hearing the words like, okay, you know, hardly, like they never really like, he would say it, but like not that like situation of like, oh, I love you, and like the affection and things like that. And that began to, I thought we were on a path for him really to see that I could be more I don't just want to take anybody's place as a mom, but be more of a, like a mom figure to him. And that was where I felt like we were definitely headed.
Good. Well, that's helping.
In that situation.
So that kind of answers the bath salts thing. He really wasn't he wasn't outright asking you, I want to get high off of bath salts.
No. I think that it was more of a situation with, they were going to school in a school that had older kids. And I think it was just more of they heard this is speculation. I'm just telling you what my observation is based upon how I heard them talk and, you know, people talk. They were just wanting, I say, like to fit in, per se. And it was just a situation where Gannon would do whatever in order to just be able to play a game and just do. You said you have a boy, a little boy.
Yeah.
That was
motherfucker.
Like I could tell Gannon, do you want to play your Switch? Okay, we help you.
Lying asshole.
And so he was in such a yes sir, yes ma'am mode of giving technology to do it. And I think that was hard going to school with kids that were a little older and coming home on the bus. They had the same, you know, you have some boys who get to do a little more than others. And this is based upon my assumption, just from talking to them, like when we were talking about on the hike, is that there was just more, you know, like not pressure, maybe kind of a little bit of pressure, but there was just more of like wanting to know what could I do to get this person to like me. Because he only liked certain friends. And those were his people. He would obsess on them, like kind of friend named Connor. That's the person he obsessed on. And Braden, that's the person he obsessed on. So if someone liked the interest that he likes, he will like develop that obsession on them and just want to, not a bad obsession, I don't mean like a,
no, I get it.
He wants that's the person he wants to hang out with. He didn't have, you know, 27 friends. He had just that person. And so that was what, and I feel like with that, that's where we were at in that situation of just trying to, you know, this thing is bad, but I understand you have a friend who wants to do this, you know, that type of thing.
Yep.
And that was,
good, that helps.
And that
so that helps with the bath salts. And I'm trying to see how Gannon reacted to these little things that happened to him until he went missing. The candle incident. Can you tell me about that?
Okay, so Gannon wanted to, I don't remember if he wanted to stay up 30 minutes. I can't remember. There was something he did that allowed him to earn some extra time. There was something he did. But Albert had grounded him from playing the Switch. So he wasn't allowed to, play a Switch or whatever. He was only allowed to, like, if he wanted to watch an extra movie or something like that he heard.
Right.
Well, on the hike earlier that day, he was so helpful with me, and people think he's sick and he's still whatever, but I have serious stomach issues and still have to operate. But he was so helpful with, taking care of the dogs and stuff. And I had told Gannon that, so like that Sunday they had passed away. So we sat around and, we had like, before we left, we were like on the sofa and I'm just like crying and he's like, why are you crying? And we're just like, he didn't know who that was. Like he knew the name, but not like growing up in like my generation to like know who that was. So we just sat there and like, we had all girls. And so Gannon started relating in the terms of being like, oh, that's, like me, I have all sisters. And so, we were talking about that. And then in between some of these questions might have been certain questions that led to what he was asking me about what went on at school and that thing, in that talk.
Right.
And so that led into on the hike that day about what we talked about. So then that evening, I don't remember what he did, but I remember I said he had 30 minutes or something extra. And I knew it wasn't his Nintendo or things like that at the time because he wasn't supposed to earn that back until the next day. And so then I think I was upstairs, Harley wasn't there. Harley had to work until Junction Yard like this. Harley had to work until I think it was like maybe 10, 15 years. So
what the fuck are you talking about?
Gannon had, I think, what was he doing? He was doing something, I don't remember. So I go back upstairs. Then I hear the machine was saying, like, beep, 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 like, is the zone coming in now?
Okay. So
I put the code in thinking that the live alarm thing went off. There was no doors open or, none of that stuff. No doors open. So then I go back where Lane was at, and I see she was faking sleeping, but not really sleeping. And then, but she had, like, the cover over her head a little bit. And so, like, she was doing, like, whatever. And so then I hear the thing saying fire.
Does it actually say fire?
It said fire.
Okay.
So that was the crazy thing because I never had heard. I didn't know what. I thought it would just be like.
Right, like a siren.
But I don't know if it was those detector things saying fire or if it was the actual. And it was still going. So I grabbed Lena. I'm going to tell you if I remember. I'm pretty sure I grabbed Lena first. And I grabbed the dog. I gave her the keys. I think that's how it went. Don't quote me on that. But I'm sure it was in that order. Yeah. And we run out to the truck. I feel like either I open the door. I don't remember. Somehow they get to the truck. Okay. And then I run back downstairs because at this point I already know that there's smoke. And so I run back downstairs. And Deanna was awake but not awake. Like, how you can almost like be asleep but not asleep type thing. And
so in his bed?
No, he wasn't in his bed. Where was he? He was on the sofa.
On the sofa.
Right. So he was on the sofa. And so like when I pull the cover, I pull Gannon with the cover. And so at this point in time, then I put the fire that's out.
So what did the fire look like?
It wasn't like huge.
Where was it? In the carpet? On the sofa?
I feel like it was on the covers.
On the covers. Was the cover on the sofa though, or was it on the floor?
I don't remember. I just remember it was in a small location. It wasn't a big enough fire to like.
What color was it? Do you remember? Was it yellow, red, orange?
Wasn't in a color.
Because I think blue burns the hottest. Then you have stuff. If stuff gets involved in the fire, you have a yellowish or reddish color.
I don't
remember.
I don't remember.
Can you show me how tall it was? Like, do you remember?
It wasn't tall.
Wasn't tall.
I don't feel like it was tall. I mean, but my tall might be different. So I don't want to say.
Still, a fire's going to freak you out.
Right. Yeah. So when I pull the cover, I pull him with the cover too, and we run out.
Did you put out the fire or no?
I know that we took the covers, both of us. When he sees us, we took the covers and like we smashed down on the.
Bro, it's a simple question. Either you put out the fire or the house fucking burned down. Did the house burn down? No? Then you put out the fire. Why don't you just say you put out the fire?
You are an idiot.
I'm retarded?
On the fire?
Like on it, yeah, because my own thought was oxygen, put it out.
Right.
Like, put it out, whatever.
Did it take much? Sorry to interrupt. Did it take a lot to put it out, or no?
Jerry, I forgot.
Or did you just smother it and then move? Or was it something in between?
Was there what now?
Something in between. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
Something in between.
Like in between, just it happened real quick, or you had to fight it for a while, or
Oh, it wasn't like fighting for a while. Like there was already a bunch of covers on the side that that I had grabbed them all and put over here, which is why the whole thing was bottled with covers. There was like covers bottled everywhere. So it was like stuff there. And then I run and he's running behind me. So as I'm running up, he like trips or whatever, but he's right behind me. So then I think I exit back out the garage, I feel like.
So the truck was in the garage?
No. It was out front. I'm saying
front.
like I think I exited back out the garage. Because I feel like I just ran back to that door. I'm not 100% positive. I know we ran out. Then Ganna runs right out behind me. And when I turned around and I'm saying something to him because I'm like, hey, because in my mind I don't remember if I had gotten the dogs, even though I had already I grabbed the dogs. And so like I don't remember what we were saying, but we were all in a frantic, whatever. He jumped in the passenger side, and I'm in the driver's side of the truck.
Okay.
Lena is in the back.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
And then we drive it, but there's no gas in the truck.
So was anybody burned from that?
So Gannon had
you or Gannon?
Gannon had little burns on his arms from that, and then but at the time, Gannon always lays with like his.
All right, notice that right there. Little burns on his arm, very specific spots, but she went like this and like this, both the same spots on both arms. Why would he have little burns on the same spots on both of his arms? Now, I'm going to get a little graphic here, folks. What if, and I apologize because this is, like I said, a little graphic and a little infuriating thinking about it, if I'm being totally honest. What if Gannon was covering himself like this? And they're little burns. So what if she was using one of the cigars that was found on the very top of his backpack, which we know she planted, like we all know it. And maybe that's why she planted the cigars. What if she was intentionally burning him with one of those Swisher Sweets? Because I find it curious that they're in the same spot on both arms. That's what I'm saying. She said he had little burns on both arms. Right here, right here.
Either way, like it's just anywhere all or like something like that. So at the time when we ran out, I feel like did he have a shirt? I don't remember if he grabbed a shirt or grabbed another cover when we ran out or whatever. But I knew that he had some burns on his arm, but I know they weren't bad, like burns that were bad. They were just like if you peeled a little bit or whatever.
Were they discolored then? Was the skin reddish, pinkish? What was it? Did you see it then? Or
no, it was not till later that I really like paid attention and should have been like, okay, well, because I did later on focus on it, but she can ask about later. But
okay.
So like his arms, and then we get in the truck or whatever, and then we drive off. So then we come back, and so I'm of course, and like I text Harley, I text Albert, what had happened. And I said, this is what happened. I told Harley, this is what happened. Don't panic. We come home. Because the house, at this point in time, we get back in, smelled like nothing but smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And so nothing but smoke at this point in time. And it was just like, I couldn't get the smoke out. Even opening up the windows and all these things, I couldn't get.
Is that a new thing you're doing?
So that was.
Is that a new thing you're doing, Hackab? Huh? Hackab's just randomly going to be like,
the time is 11:11 Eastern. Again, the time is 11:11 Eastern. Thank you.
So what happened with these covers that you used to put out the plane?
Well, the covers were either left there, because I remember getting some of the stuff and putting outside in the trash can, which I even showed the people when they got there that I put in the trash can.
Do you guys have singular trash cans for each house there, or do you have a dumpster or what?
You really like it's a big trash. It's just a big brown.
One of the little ones you go out and put by the curb.
Oh,
it was just one of those. And it wasn't. No one was like whatever, but we did.
Make a wish, asshole. Make a wish, asshole. What's a wish, asshole? What's a wish, asshole? How do you make one?
We did want Albert to like come home, like not necessarily come home and be for that, but we maybe had updated a little bit to Albert because we were like thinking, you know, like he'll be sad, or whatever, you know, like whatever. So in my message to Albert probably was a little bit like a little more over exaggeration, just because I was
when you say we, did you talk with the kids about let's get Albert home?
No, we did sit down, and because when I was asking him, like, was this, you know, did you do this on accident? Was this accident? You know, whatever. And so we were just talking about
make a wish, asshole.
You know, like the whole thing. Everybody was in wondering.
How do you make a wish,
we were all
an asshole? Am I right?
Which was our bedroom upstairs. Okay. So we were all in the bedroom upstairs, and it was just, you know, just talking and, you know, whatever. And I said, I got to let your daddy know. And then I was not going to tell him. That was the original thing. It was not telling him. It was just to fix it and not tell him. Because then I was like, if I just do that, then we don't have to, you know, we don't have to worry about it.
Right.
But then that was just an opportunity to be like, oh, well, maybe Albert is like, well, I'll just come back home. Or, you know, because it's hard, like, you know, always, all of us just there, going through all these memories and doing all these things without him, you know, being there.
No, I get it.
So that was
So did Gannon agree that was a good idea to kind of play it up a little bit?
Did he agree?
Yeah.
We all were in like agreement.
So how did you play it up? Was the fire really not that big, and you made it like it was a big deal? Or
well, so whenever
just
we
to get Al to say, hey, maybe I should get back home.
When we were explaining it to people in general, like that was our whole like, oh my gosh, it was like whatever. Like, if you got my phone, you saw that like if the people that we messaged, we made it more of like a, you know, like a bigger situation, like than what it really was.
Yeah, because I couldn't understand how a candle could make a big fire, because my wife lights candles all the time around the house, and if you knock them over, and if you knock it over, kind of nothing happens.
Yeah.
I mean, it might singe the carpet a little bit.
Yeah.
I've seen the pictures, and I'm surprised that, you know, that much of the carpet was burned.
Well, it was probably because, I mean, I don't know, but you know, the kids go like push down on the carpet, and it was on the cover, because the cover was wrapped up on him.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know, like.
That's what I was just curious about. The burn itself on the carpet, because that was awfully big for a candle.
I didn't think that was even big. Was that really big?
Guys like, nope, that shit's not happening. Don't even try it. That fucking candle's not going to cause a fire like that. You're busted.
Yeah, I mean, that big for a candle, because like I said, my wife, we look like a church sometimes with all the candles she lights.
Yeah.
We have dogs running around and kids.
Yeah, no, it was.
So I was just surprised a candle could make, you know, a big black thing in the carpet that much. That it might have been held there for a little while. Yeah. Maybe he tried to set.
Yeah, I don't know about. But see, the thing is, I don't know that Gannon would try to like purposely, like set something on fire. I don't know. I know that he did tell me later that he thought that I was coming downstairs, and he was playing his game. So he
was playing his game when he knocked the candle over?
Yeah, so he did tell us, he told me and Lena and all of us that when we were all talking together, he told us that he thought I was coming downstairs, like to catch him on his game, whatever.
Oh, and that's why he knocked it over?
I don't know. I don't know if he accidentally or thought, you know, whatever. I just know he said that he thought.
But did he take any responsibility for knocking the candle over, or did it just say it happened, or what?
No, he did say that.
Okay.
He did say that he had done it, that he had started it or whatever. And that's why I kept asking him, like, did you do it on purpose?
That's what I'm curious about.
Or did you, you know, was it an accident? He told me an accident. He thought I was coming downstairs. So, and to me, sir, we could afford to buy another
Yeah, for sure.
sofa and another carpet. That's not a problem. Like, I mean, you're talking about like things that we had and nice things, but we can afford to buy that. So that was not a point of contention, and Gannon very well would have known that too.
So did it burn? It burned the sofa also.
I love how this asshole has the fucking audacity to say we can afford. We can afford. You can't afford shit. You don't have nothing. You ain't got nothing. That's Al's money. Shut the fuck up. Even like unbelievable.
You're entitled to shit.
Also,
I don't think it burned the sofa.
Okay.
I don't think it burned the sofa. I'm just saying, like, in general in the area, whether if it would have burned sofa, TVs, all that.
Right. Did he light the candle?
We could
Or
afford
who
to
lit
do
that
it.
candle? You know?
The candle was, he had already lit the candle because the dogs were, I think, obviously Reuben.
Okay.
And so he had already lit the candle, which we
Does he
allowed.
normally do that?
Yeah, we allowed him to. He could light the candle if he wanted to. He was allowed to open like packages that came. That's where I also taught him how to use like the box cutter and stuff like that.
Yeah, bro, you can fucking just like, yo, all the flammable shit is in this drawer, 11-year-old stepson. Knock yourself out. Like, really? Get the fuck out of here, dude. What is wrong with you?
He was allowed to do those type of things. As long as, he was usually within reason, like, okay, I'm not going to go light, the line on fire or, or something like that. When I was little too, like I did the same thing about curious about matches and, like things like that. But we had already given him enough of, like safety talks about, like Albert, when he talked to him about using the box cutters and knives, he always showed him the right direction, not to just go like, cut open boxes and stuff. So he had already had these, like talks about the correct way to do these things. So.
Well, it explains those two. So I got the bath salts, the candle, and now the foot injured in the garage. So tell me about that.
The foot injury.
Oh, sorry. Before I go there, so we don't forget, you said peeling these later.
I just remember that on Monday his arm had a little bit of peeling to it, and that's when I said in my mind, like I told the earlier here, that I did at that point say, I probably should like think about if later on after I put stuff on it, I need to think about if it gets worse, monitor the situation, like those type of things.
Did you put stuff on it or no?
Well, we had took that green aloe stuff and we had took and put because the dog had just had get bit before, so I already had that little wrap stuff,
Okay.
And so we had already done that in that situation.
Did you put it on both arms?
I think it was on the right arm, I feel like.
And then when did you do that? Was that Sunday night, Monday morning, both?
I think it was Sunday night.
Okay.
No, actually it wasn't. It was through the night because we stayed up late. So it would have already been Monday morning hours. Like into Monday morning.
Okay, so she just said
because
she just said that we stayed up late. I think she was just fucking just tormenting this kid Sunday night and then killed him Monday.
We couldn't breathe. The smell was so like it's like stuck in the house from the smoke. We couldn't breathe. No matter what we did.
So where'd you guys hang out until you could breathe?
We slept in our room and then we opened all the windows downstairs.
Okay. And all four of you slept in?
So Lena, Harley, me, and him were in the room for a while. Then Gannon went to, I think he went to Lena's room at this point. Yeah. So then Gannon went to Lena's room for a while, but then he was in his room by the time he woke up. So I don't know if he got up.
What time do you think you went to Lena's room? Was it after midnight or no?
Sure, I don't know.
When did you call him in sick? It was pretty early in the morning.
Well, what happened is all I did was I called and asked about his stomach. It was anything to do with the fire or anything like that. My question was, I'd already given him Miralax, which was like, Miralax.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a prescription of over the counter, I say whatever it is, prescription Miralax, whether it's or whatever. And I'd already given him that. And so then I also had X-Lax. And I thought, at what point can I not, like how much is enough, if I can't get him to pass this, at what point is there enough, or can I go ahead and do like an enema or like, Albert can tell you, I've given him an enema before, and like things like that, because it gets so bad and it's just so big and they get clogged up. So that was the concern about how to get him to pass that. Because like for me, I have to I can.
So you're going to give the kid an enema. Let me just see if I understand this. You're going to give the kid an enema, but you're not going to wash his clothes.
Look, you're lying. And you're a piece of shit.
I can drink 10 scoops of Miralax and it
won't
affect me at all. Yeah. And so I didn't want it to be where it was the squirts and then also the combination is different in my stomach because like I said, if I take 10 of them, I'm okay.
So he's having the squirts and he started having those in the hike, but he couldn't pass that whole evening. Is that right?
Right.
I don't even remember. She got life without possibility of parole. Let's just put it that simple. Like she's never getting out. There is no death penalty in Colorado, so that's why she didn't get the death penalty, but I'm sure she would have. The judge was handing out maximum sentences like it was candy. It was just crazy. He was just handing out life sentences and it was pretty beautiful.
We get out bowls, like big bowls, but like couldn't get like the whole thing out. And that was sometimes if you finally, and then when you finally get one out,
wasn't it?
For me, I lay in the bathroom and I'm in pain.
Yeah.
Like whenever.
Was he telling you he was in pain?
Well, he sits on the toilet. His common thing is that he'll sit on the toilet and just sit there and sit there and sit there. So as long as he's got something to focus with, again, his pain tolerance is very like high when it comes to just sitting there, like, focusing and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
So he spent a lot of time in the bathroom that evening, just sitting there.
yeah, off and on the bathroom. We got kids meals, but he came out and ate his kids meals.
I mean,
Better, so I think
I'm gonna say Judge Jenny was equally as good, if not better. The patience that she had with Daryl Brooks, I'm not, I can't take that away from her. I've never seen a judge in a public trial compose themselves the way that that judge did in the Daryl Brooks trial.
McDonald's or what?
No, we Carl's Jr.
Carl's Jr.
Yeah. So I had originally said Burger King, but that's not Burger King right there. That's Carl's Jr.
Got it.
Carl's Jr. Yeah. Because I never go to Carl's Jr., but we got 2 kids meals, and I think I got something too. And Lena went with me to go get it. So he ate the kids meal when we got back.
But he still hadn't passed yet.
Well, if he ate, he had done something. He had already used it some because he wouldn't have eaten.
And had you given the Miralax before the meal then?
I'd already given Miralax like throughout the week. We always had this thing where if I went in there and took one of my shots, like of acai berries or something like that, he would take one too. So it was common for me to be like, okay, here, mix. And Albert would always say, go mix him up one of the drinks. Mm-hmm. We put in orange juice. Well, he didn't like juices as much unless it was like Kool-Aid juices or sweet. So it was a common thing to always try to give Miralax to regulate the system. But the problem is if you don't take the Vyvanse, so you don't take it for a day like you did.
Yeah, if you missed the Daryl Brooks trial, feel free to go back if you feel like sitting through a trial. A very, very patience-trying trial. I went over it. So, there's just days and days and days of live streams in my library. If you guys are interested in watching that.
He didn't take it on Saturday because family was in town, and so you don't take it on Saturday, and if you don't take it on Sunday, that's when it starts to happen. So that's when the constipation and the diarrhea kind of can go hand in hand. So like, let's say if he would have took it Saturday, and let's say he would have took it Sunday, he wouldn't have been as bad. Right. But then the problem is, Albert always would want him not on it if we're going to go do like a big time activity, because instead of having him like, zoned out on something, I mean, you look like he's zoned out on something.
Yeah.
That was
the Vyvanse stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like the thing was, if we go somewhere and requires him to have like massive amounts of things, then we don't want him to be under that Vyvanse and just have to be like zoned in. Mm-hmm. We want him to be able to like, especially like on the hike, I wanted him to be able to like run around and do things. Because me and him, we're always on the top of all, like if we hike, we're always on the top of hikes. We're always the ones like, leading, doing everything.
So was he bleeding that night? Do you know?
From
rectally? From anally? Yeah.
So what happens is from him squeezing, I hate talking about this because it sounds bad.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, things are going on with him these last couple hours.
Yeah, so like from him squeezing and stuff like that, his does the same thing as mine does, and mine does the same thing. And so that's why I told you it was so much alike, and we never lay on that because it was like, oh my gosh, like blood out your butt, and then just from squeezing and things like that. And that wasn't like pouring out.
Okay, so it wasn't a copious amount.
Yeah.
Just because of him struggling with that all night, or that evening into the night. You don't know when he eventually felt good? Or
how it works is he might feel good, and then it gets in where it's hurting still until he gets it all out. It's not until he returns like 100% again, like, okay, I'm back to Gannon.
Did he get back to Gannon that night?
For Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was fine when he was downstairs. I told you he earned extra time.
Right.
He'd be able to stay up and stuff.
Yeah, but I thought, was he not struggling with this after the candle incident?
Right. Like what happens is I mean, if you want to call in a GI person, but he gets where he's okay, and then a little bit more okay, and a little bit more. It's just episodes. They happen every once a month-ish, where he goes through those episodes of his stomach and mine does anything.
So when you guys were up in the bedroom, how was he?
You mean like after
the flame and fire and smoke?
He was upset and like crying because he thought he was going to lose his switch like for a long time. Like he thought, that he was going to lose his switch for a long time.
Did you threaten to take his switch away?
I don't care. We'll just do whatever we got to do to buy new whatever. I would be.
I mean, I knew he was grounded from it.
For because we just related on the same page, more so than Lena, because Lena was even most kind of bratty-ish or, whatever. So Deanna could be more of like, we can have like secrets and talk and say, hey, we're not going to tell them what you're doing this, or,
Right.
Yeah. So I'd be more inclined to okay, don't tell anybody, we'll fix it. And so that was kind of like our conversations, what we were talking about. And yeah, he was upset, like very, like upset and hurt and just trying to do whatever, but we also kind of just.
So how late do you think he stayed up with you in the room until he finally left?
I don't know.
Was it past midnight or do you know?
I don't know. At this
But he
point,
left on his
I don't
own.
know. At this point. So whenever he went to Lena's room, I think he walked down. I don't remember exactly, but I know because all four of us couldn't fit in the bed with the dog. But at one point in time, we had to switch the whole, like, okay, you go sleep here, you go sleep here. And I feel like at one point, Harley was sleeping on the sofa, and then Harley and Lena switched, because we were up, like I said, we couldn't breathe. It was very smoky. So we were all, like, not sleeping, when Lena went to school, I'm pretty sure she probably went to sleep, or was very, very, like, exhausted.
Right.
Because, like, us staying up and, like, getting tired and stuff.
So Lena was real sleepy, but she went to school.
Yeah, like what I'm saying is when she woke up, she probably was like really, really like felt like she could have used a couple more hours.
So why did you call Gannon in sick and not her?
Well,
this
she
guy
wasn't
is
struggling
like,
with stomach problems.
So he still had him in the morning. Then.
Right.
Okay.
So it wasn't.
Snug with Pug, thank you so much for the super sticker. I mean, I appreciate that. I mean that. Thank you. Oh, and the coffee. That's awesome. Thanks. That this guy, you guys are saying that this guy went home and had a stiff drink afterwards. I don't know about all that, dude. Like, this guy seems like you're like atypical G-man. You know what I mean? No pun intended, because that's what they called Gannon. That's what his parents called him, little G-man. But this guy seems like your typical G-man, your government man, like the kind that Hoover would recruit. Like, just straight up clean cut, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, like in Point Break. Takes the skin off chicken. Like, this guy is clean as a whistle.
I even had messaged Albert the other night and said, hey, I asked him. Like, I asked him and said, okay, Gannon, he's out. And so that was.
Yeah.
So he didn't respond because he was on a different time zone. Okay. And I got the message.
So you called in sick, though, too, for your work.
So what
Mr. Anderson. Tell me, Mrs. Stauch, what good is a phone call if you're unable to speak?
It was, I said, I told Albert, I said, hey, I'll just stay at home with Gannon today. And he didn't write me back, or he didn't whatever. But the plan was, I wasn't going to go back to teaching. That was, the plan was, I was not going back to teaching.
So when was that a plan?
I think it was like December, so I was just going to try to use like days and try to, whatever, because I just didn't want to go back to teaching.
Right. What did you tell your school as far as why you didn't show up that day?
For that day, I didn't talk to them about anything that day.
Your school, you didn't?
Not that day.
Did you just not show? Were you have classes waiting on you? Or?
No. Okay, so what happened was I transitioned because I was like, okay, I wasn't going to be a teacher anymore. And I was like, okay, well, I have to do something until the whole flight attendant thing started. So I had to do something until then. I couldn't just not have money or whatever. So I got on what is it? I don't know what district it's called, but it's one of the districts. And I said I would do a long-term sub position, or I would do the regular subbing position. And then I just, at that point, was going to just call in whenever I could work. It's D8. I have my email. Right. I could just call in whenever I worked or whatever. And just.
So were you scheduled to show up then Monday morning?
From the school that I wasn't going to work at anymore. I had already told them that I wasn't. Okay.
I think they are. I don't know too much. I don't want to know too much. I really hope that they get to move on and put this behind them as best as they can. It's just something that they're always going to be affected by. But I know Al remarried, and he has he has a wife, and she lost her child as well. So they have this in common, and they seem to have something very special with each other. So, um, and and uh, and I'm friends with Landon on Facebook. But she doesn't post a lot of personal stuff. She just posts stuff in regards to Gannon, and she's I'm sure she's doing the best that she can as well. It's going to take time to heal, because you're healing when you're waiting for this trial to take place. I would assume that your healing is on pause. You know what I mean? I would assume that your healing process is on pause, and that's got to be torturous. I can't imagine what that's like. I watched a documentary yesterday on HBO Max, and I might go over it. I don't know, but I watched this documentary on HBO Max called "Take Care of Maya." I believe it was called something like "Take Care of Maya," but it was Maya. And it was really, really crazy because it was almost like the opposite of the story of Gypsy Rose. So this girl, she's diagnosed with this really rare disease, and it's complex something pain syndrome. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but it's very rare. And this little girl, she was constantly in pain, always feeling like her skin was on fire, bones were broken and mending, but not literally. They just felt like that way. She was constantly in pain. Her stomach was constantly in pain. She was just constantly in physical torture of all the time. And her mom was a very shrewd but loving mother, but very shrewd when it came to taking care of her kids and getting things done. And she was very smart. And what she did was she documented everything. She recorded everything, every conversation she had with a doctor, every conversation she had with an attorney moving on. Because what ended up happening was they ended up, apparently the treatment for this is ketamine, and low doses were not going to work. So the only place where you could get the proper treatment for that particular disease, which is you're put in a ketamine coma, she had to go to Mexico for this. And she's put in this ketamine coma, and it works temporarily. It works for a while. She wakes up, she's a lot better. She feels better, and then it starts happening again. And then when it happens again, she ends up going to, her parents take her to Johns Hopkins Medical Center, and to the pediatric intensive care unit. And this woman named Sally Smith shows up, who's a child abuse. She basically assesses whether or not a medical child abuse, if a child is in the hospital and if they've been abused, and that's the reason they're in the hospital. So she does this, and then it determins that she's being abused, and says that the diagnosis is Munchausen by proxy. And we all know, based on watching the Ruby Rose documentary, that Munchausen by proxy is actually one of the rarest things to be diagnosed with in psychological circles. So they take the child away from the parents, and think about what this means. Oh, is it on Netflix? It's on Netflix. Sorry, not HBO, but Netflix. I think you're right, Heckham. Not HBO, but Netflix. Sorry about that. Yeah, it is. It is on Netflix for sure because it's like number 6 or something. So it's crazy because then they end up taking the child away, but what that means is that this child is not getting treatment. They're thinking that her diagnosis, that her disease, her ailment is all in her mind and it was put in there by her mother. And so she's not getting the treatment that she needs for this rare disease. And so while she's in pain, her parents can't see her. Her parents can't, they're barely allowed to talk to her. It's ruined her marriage because basically the way CPS works is they give you I think it's called a case plan or something like that, a case list. And it's like a checklist of what you got to do in order to get your kid back. So they had to basically concede to what they were saying and what they were implying about what was going on with her. She was refusing to do that, and the father was willing to do it, and this was causing a rift between them. And the worst part is that during all of this, they kept pushing the court dates back. And so the more time that went by, we're talking months and months and months. And the more time that went by, the more pain this girl is in. And the doctors that diagnosed her are saying she's going to die an agonizing death, basically, if you don't treat her. And there's basically no way around the courts. The courts are basically just hell-bent on listening to these doctors who have falsely diagnosed this child with Munchausen by proxy. And they're keeping this child away from her parents. And then the worst part is the mother ends up committing suicide. And daughter never even got to say goodbye to her. And even to this day, now they're trying to sue the hospital, but to this day, that keeps getting pushed back. The next date is supposedly in September 11th, ironically, but that's the next court date for that. And I'm thinking about following it because the way that I see it is that publicity from that Netflix documentary is what this family needs now in order to put pressure on the court system to be able to see this case, to be able to hear this case. And the crazy part is the last judge who heard the case and put a stay on it is the same judge that's handling the Petito and Laundrie lawsuit right now. So that's a little crazy. So I don't know if it'll be the same judge moving forward, but so yeah. So if you haven't watched that documentary, it's called Take Care of Maya. It was really sad. It's a really, really sad documentary. But the reason why I brought that up is it's just crazy how long it takes to get closure. This family has not gotten any closure. You know, finally, Al and Landon are finally getting the closure, but the healing has just started. The healing has just started for them. So, and it's been 3 years. So I hope so too. In a nutshell, I hope that they're moving forward and doing well.
Like I didn't even complete paperwork with them yet, so it wasn't even. I wasn't even
counting on you to show up that day or what?
What do you mean? But I hadn't signed any contracts. I hadn't like done anything with them because the whole plan was I was not going to be teaching. I was just going to be.
Okay. Yeah, I get you didn't sign contracts, but were they planning for you to come in to do something on Monday and you had to call in?
I never called it on Monday. I already told
Did you
them.
text them or something?
No, on Thursday or Friday, I'd already told them. Okay. On Thursday or Friday, I'd already told them that I wasn't coming in. Like I didn't go in Friday either. Like I'd already told them I wasn't. So it was like, you're asking me about if I told them Monday, but I'd already told them prior.
Oh, you'd already told them, so you didn't have to tell them you're not coming in on Monday?
Right, because I'd already told them because, see, on my dad's side, there was someone who passed away, and I just used that as a reason why I wasn't coming on. Well, the following was the prior week.
Oh, okay.
So that's, and then...
How did they pass away?
Well, my dad is remarried to my stepmom. Or my dad is married to my stepmom. And then the first night of family was cancer. So, honestly, I didn't have any plans to go there at all. I didn't.
Yeah.
But it brought me some time into not teaching and then trying to get set up on the next schedule. Because I had started developing like a lot of stress over teaching because it wasn't so much about teaching anymore. It was about following a piece of paper that wasn't helping students. And so that was already a plan that was set separately and trying to figure it out.
So did you say the stepmom excuse then? Did you mention stepmom for the week prior then, as far as why you might not be there?
No, I didn't mention anyone. I just said I had a different in the family. I didn't say anything to do with our family or stepmom or anything. I just said we had a different.
Were they okay with that?
Yeah. Okay. I mean.
What are you going to say? Right.
I mean.
Death in the family. Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, and plus too, I hadn't even done anything like with them. It was just, why would I even want to set myself up in a position to be teaching with them again? I just couldn't do it. I thought I could because I was like, if I do it, I would just do it until.
Why would you put yourself in a position to be teaching there again? So that you fucking earn money and you're not such a fucking deadbeat in Al's house. That's why. Can't even fucking do laundry.
I could be in a sub position or whatever, and I hated it.
Yeah. Well, then I had to sub for a little while before the FBI.
Yeah. But well, see, I didn't have a problem moving into the sub list.
Yeah, like subbing's not fun.
Right, and you don't get paid what you should. But I didn't have a problem moving into the sub list. I just didn't want to teach sped. I was in a hard position with not wanting to be a teacher at all. All I wanted to do was work with like people and being like able to see new people every day. And so I had to buy myself some time, and it just was fortunate that someone had passed away. And so that bought myself time in order to say you wanted the truth. That's the truth. I bought myself time. I bought myself time to just be able to take I think it was Thursday, Friday, maybe Friday. I don't know. It was 1 or 2 days to take that time through the weekend to kind of self-reflect and be like, how can I, get to the position where I want to? You know how hard it is to look at someone's face and your whole life working in education and you don't really want to do it.
Yeah, my mom's in education. But yeah, I mean, some people are cut out for it.
Right, and I did it so long, and it was.
I don't think that's necessarily the case. The vocal fry, I don't know if she thinks it's sexy. I don't think she's doing that on purpose. I think it's because she's been yelling on the phone with Al for days and days and days, for weeks actually. So yeah, I think her voice is just shot. Probably from yelling. She was probably yelling at the cops when they arrested her. Who knows? I'd love to see the body cam footage of when they arrested her. I don't know if there is any.
It was more so about following everything by the book and not being able to actually get to have fun with kids anymore and get to teach them the way you want to teach them.
Right.
No. So it was to buy myself some time, and the plan was just to keep working at the airport and then take it from there.
Okay. So tell me about the next morning then. So now you're at home, Cannon's at home,
right.
Elena's at school. Tell me what happens then.
Right. So this is where I need help from everybody.
Yeah. And you can get help. Like I said, I've had some high-level informants that have told me some horrific things, and we've had to relocate them. We can get different names. But to do that, to kick that in motion, we need to know the story. We can't just say,
right.
Someone's got really important information.
Right. Well, that's where I would need someone to help guide me through this, because I want...
Yeah, folks, here comes the conspiracy. Here comes the conspiracy. Here comes the story of, he was kidnapped, and you need to relocate me to a safe place.
I want to help more than anything. But
that's why I'm here, because I'm representing Denver FBI, and then I have the ability to pull resources from Quantico, which is our behavior analysis unit. Everything comes out of there.
Right.
It's called SURGE, which is our incident response group. So this was a big enough case that the supervisor of the FBI asked me to come down from Denver, and I get all my training out there. So you're not going to have better resources in this room right now. And I'm not bragging.
Right.
I've just been doing this stuff for a long time.
Right, Charlie? Oh, you popped. You're going to be famous. Here it is. Here it is. Stop. This is
Tell me what happened, and then you need protection. We can do all that stuff. So DEA doesn't have those capabilities. ATF doesn't. No. DEA just investigates drugs, and they're very good at it.
Right.
But the FBI, we're now worldwide, and we have offices Bogota to Russia to China to wherever.
Right.
So, and we get a lot more funding because of when September 11th happened. That changed everything for us. We were the nation's #1 law enforcement agency before then, but they gave us so many more resources since then.
Right.
And so I am specialized in missing kids and unusual homicides, including serial killings and whatever else. So I didn't get in right away on your case, but I did. I have been working it for the past couple of weeks. Yeah. Well, I'm here now, and whatever you tell me, I mean, the worst thing I can do for people like you is if you have a story that requires your protection for the FBI, it would not be good for me to run out and say, "Oh, Letecia told me this," and that's not how it works. If this can help us find Gannon, we'll do whatever we can. Okay.
I'm not like I just need protection for my family. And I swear to you.
Okay. Well, you can get that, but we have to know the story first.
So how am I supposed to get help talking to someone first before we talk to you? Because I'm willing to do that.
So here's your deal. If you need help, and if you want to go through the court process, that's fine. We leave, and then you work through the court process. But then it just becomes the whole focus of this, Letecia. Right now, you're the only one. You're the last one. You're the last adult with him. You're the last adult we know about with him. You have not told anybody anything else to lead us. We have been trying to work with Al to say, what is she saying now?
Yeah.
You know, and the Quincy Brown thing and whatever else.
I was mad at him about all that. But a lot of it was keys to help you guys. But it should have just been. If I could have just reached out to someone to be like, I'm terrified for myself and for the family, and it would have been.
She was giving them
what I didn't help you
clues.
with.
She was like, I was helping you guys. I was giving you guys clues. Those were all keys that you guys know for you guys to decipher.
It can also help you with something else you might be already working into.
What is that?
I'm just saying.
Well, Letecia, you've got to give me something here to work with. If you want to go through the court process, like I said, I'm here the last question. If you want to stop at any time, you are more than welcome to stop and say.
But it says you can have one present to talk to you.
Yep. And that will kick in the court process, and then we're done, which is fine. And if that's what you want. Okay, but the whole, if you need protection and that sort of thing, I can't get you there without you giving me something. So I listened to all the calls with Al, and I've seen the crime scene reports.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what happened in the bedroom?
Here we go.
Was not Gannon slinging his blood on the wall.
Well, that's totally not even to do with anything.
Yeah,
that's why I'm so upset about bedrooms and all those things, because I understand you're an expert. I know that, but I'm telling you I'm gonna need protection. That's it. It's not me. I'm not the person.
So, but if you're not the person, the charges won't be different. Okay, if you allowed someone else to come in and do the things to Gannon that we know happened to him, you're just as guilty.
I didn't allow anyone. I do know that there's something I can tell you that can help you, or help me, help everyone. But I do need that help.
Well, so let me tell you where I am. Okay. Like I said, I've been 23 years with the FBI. For the last 20, I've been working violent crime. And I've worked some of the worst cases. And it kind of messed me up a little bit, to be honest, seeing what I've seen. And I worked 20 years of bank robberies.
Mm-hmm.
So I always thought that you were going to have, I'm the FBI, I'm the good guy, bad people go rob banks. And that's not how it is. I've had to help arrest other FBI agents, police officers, people from the church, school resource officers. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do.
Mhm.
And on the other side, some of the bank robbers, one of them came out after serving a 10-year sentence, and we had it off just fine. Even, we were on opposite sides of the fence. The thing that I have seen, though, throughout is when something very bad happens, people think they can't recover from it. And I do not think you are a bad person.
I'm not.
That's why I'm here. No, I don't.
I didn't do
I've
that.
seen bad
And I know
people.
you told people that to get them to help you,
No,
but
I'm
not.
not. I would not have this approach with you if I thought you were a bad person. I think something bad happened. And I think that what I've seen a lot, it's whether it's you think that you can get out if you do this or this or this, that's where you are now. And you're hoping that one of these things can save you. They're not going to be able.
What do you mean? What were you talking about? Someone's not going to be able to save me?
There was nobody else there. We've looked at the alarms, we've looked at the motions, we've looked at the
Sir,
detectors.
The alarms are already covered up.
The alarms were already covered
Yes.
up. Okay. But
Sir, I'm telling you, what you have is not you. I know you say you wouldn't sit here and say this to me if I wasn't, whatever. I'm telling you, it is true. I would not, and did not, would not, did not. And with you guys having my phone, I would have thought that you would have had some of the apps looked into. Now, I would have thought that sometimes when I talked to Albert, you might have listened to them all or whatever. It could have been some help and indication on the apps. I really did. Because I couldn't come at you and just tell you if you say there's somebody not involved. I could walk you through it and prove it to you, and you guys have already had this predetermination. I don't mean you. I have this first time listening to you. You guys have already had this predetermination. That's what's going to happen. It's already in your mindset.
Yeah, because we have no other evidence pointing us elsewhere. So if there was a shred of evidence, Letecia, that pointed us to some other person, we would be all over it. As soon as Quincy Brown came out of your mouth, it doesn't take long.
So you know 100% he's in Mexico right now.
Yes, we do know.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Because we did get our legal, we have what's called a legal attaché.
Okay. That's where that alone, and I get that you're saying you have someone who looked into that and knows that. That's where I know in my heart that I can't trust to get help. That very reason.
You're saying Quincy Brown's
No,
not in Mexico?
that's not what I'm saying. But you would have said another word, like something in between that would have gave that off. Like, you wouldn't have said he's just in Mexico and he didn't do anything. You would have said, oh, did he come back here for a reason? You wouldn't have said any of that. You would have known some other things too. Or maybe you have and you just can't tell me those things. And that's okay. But
well, we don't, in a case like this, so tips will come in, you know, the public will call in. And then, of course, you and Al are primary interest because you're the parents of the missing kid. And most, 90% of the time, when a kid goes missing, it has to do with one of the parents. That's it. That we work on probabilities.
Okay.
So, and especially with you, then you're there. You say he went to a neighbor's house. That's the very first thing you say. And then there's no thought that somebody took him.
You said there's no thought?
There's no thought for law enforcement.
But you're not understanding what happened leading up to the days before. Nothing to do with Gannon, nothing to do with me, okay, in terms of me and Gannon. Okay, I love Gannon with all my heart. And so you can sit here and say 90% parents, this, okay?
I'm not saying you don't love him.
I love him.
I'm saying that even I have had times when my son rolled a basketball underneath that I wanted to turn around and do something, and then I would have regretted it later.
But what you're saying to me is, what you think is that I hurt Gannon.
And I don't think it was intentional.
Okay, but I didn't hurt Gannon, okay? And I didn't either intentional or not intentional hurt Gannon. I did not. That's just not what happened. Okay, and I had this conversation with you just to see for a second if I could get help from you.
But you can't. But how can you expect me to help you, Letecia, if you're not going to tell me what happened? You can't go. Just let me tell you. You can unlock the entire resources of the FBI right now. I've told you that. But then you say that you're not willing to do it, whether you don't trust me or you think that there's these.
But you already told me someone wasn't there based on an alarm.
That's from what we can see. Yes, okay. Movement in the basement,
right?
Movement upstairs.
But you've already told me that based on that, okay? But what you're not realizing is there's 2 sensors on that home, okay? Two that can easily be manipulated, easily, okay? And if you even knew anything about Pryor, you would be thinking a lot differently now. But see, that's why I can't talk to you about these things, because you already have predetermined what you think.
It doesn't matter what I predetermined.
What you said intentionally, unintentionally, and that's not the case.
I'm not saying I'm right 100% of the time. It doesn't. You need to just disregard whatever I think, or really whatever anybody else thinks. If you have a truth, And if you have something that will help us find him, really, to hell with me and everybody else and what we think. You should just cast that aside. And so if we need to go somewhere else besides the facts, I have to then go back to the facts to check it. So when I say something
I'll talk to you in private, but you can't tell Albert about anything that led up to it or anyone else.
Albert will not know anything.
I understand that, but I need your help, and I need to know that you tell me there's resources, you tell me whatever, okay? I know you're saying you got whatever, this and that and all that, but I really am going to need help, like, a lot. Swear to you. Don't base it on some alarm reports, because they can easily manipulate it.
Well, we're not just
they easily whatever. I know, I'm saying when you're saying no one else was there.
So
when you say that, don't base it on that, please. I'm begging you, because that was not even remotely.
You suck.
Not even.
So you care about Cannon?
I care about Cannon. I have reached out every day offering for people to go in these certain places to get even insight to see. I every day ask, hey, can you go do this? Can someone meet with you?
So you've asked someone to go look for him?
Right. Like I reached out and I asked Albert. I said, hey, can you meet me? Let me tell you about this, and let's go to this location to look. I've asked all these.
What location do you think he's at now, Cannon?
No, I'm just saying, like,
no,
in general.
but I'm asking you
in
right
general.
now. Where do you think he is right now?
I don't know exactly. I don't know.
Well, where do you know him to last?
But I am 99% confident Cannon is alive.
Okay. But where do you know him to last be?
I want to help, sir, but I'm in a room, and you've already talking about all this and the courts, and it's me against everybody else.
So here's the deal. Once this thing goes through the courts, you talk about that. You're the only one to be with him. You think you're going to be able to tell a story.
A story?
It might be a true story.
Gosh, sir.
But listen, I've listened to a lot of your stories, and I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, okay, that's because I was mad at him. Had nothing. I already knew.
But I've seen what you told the news reporter. I've listened to what you told El Paso about the sex assault that happened in the house.
I already knew that you guys were listening to him.
Yeah.
So I said that because I was angry.
But what I think I can offer you today is some help. Okay. And I've told people that I've worked with here this story because you remind me a lot of the case I worked about 5 years ago, and I'm still working a little bit of it today because of the fallout. There's a guy from Highlands Ranch, his name's Harold Henthorne, and he pretended to go to a job every day like he was earning a lot of money. His first wife, she was a social worker in Denver. She ends up getting sick. He's going to have to pay for her medical bills, and because of that, she's going to be sick. She's going to have medical bills. She's going to find out that Harold doesn't really have a job. His image was very important to him. And he ended up staging an accident. And I'm not saying he did this again. I just want you to listen to the story. And the car fell on his wife and killed her. And he got away. Yes. It was down in Sedalia. A Jeep. He somehow got her underneath the Jeep, and the entire Jeep came down and crushed her. 10 years later, 12 years later, he's married to a second wife. They have a lot more money. They have a family. Harold's a Christian man. He went to Cherry Hills Church, which is a big church in Highlands Ranch. And he built the walls for Juarez. He would go down and do mission work, etc. So he had a good heart. But his second wife, she was an eye surgeon in Cherry Creek, and her family started figuring out that Harold didn't really have a job. And he actually dropped a beam on her head at a cabin, not trying to kill her. We don't know what that was about. But she stopped the oil checks coming in to Harold, because Harold he was collecting the family's oil checks. And then she ends up in Estes Park. And you can't prove the difference between a push and a fall. And I found this out going into it, because if it happens in Estes Park, it's a federal crime. So Harold's did to inherit $6.5 million for her death. And he was just fine coming out there. But Harold told different stories to different people. Like from his church, he would say Tony was his wife. He said Tony was clumsy. She wasn't paying attention.
This guy's slick as fuck.
Turkeys, she just ran off the edge. Tony was this, and that really hurt him in court. Because
he's basically saying, like, dude, this dude, like, he dropped a beam on his wife's head. He stood to inherit $6 million from her death. And he told a bunch of different stories, and he still came out on top. So, you know what I mean? Like, all you got to do is talk, and we'll help you. He's given her every out. All you got to do, give us the information of what happened. We'll give you protection. We'll relocate you. We'll give you anything you want. All we want is to find out what happened to Gannon. We just want to know that that's it. Quinn B, thank you so much. These narcissistic characteristics are truly terrifying. She sounds ridiculous to us, but stealing the resources of law enforcement is maddening. His patience is commendable and necessary, but this pisses me off. I mean, yeah, of course, it's totally infuriating. But the thing is they already know what happened. She's already arrested. She's already in custody. They're hoping to get a confession to just wrap it up, right? But they know they're not going to get a confession. They're just going to let her continue to tell different stories that are going to basically deteriorate her character in court when that comes, which came 3 years later. So finally, she went into court and she absolutely failed to come up with a decent defense. She came up with the most ridiculous fairy tale of a defense, the Sybil defense, basically, and had one very uncredible witness testify on her behalf. And the defense and the prosecution just destroyed this woman on the stand. Justice was already served. We're just going over this, just so you know. But don't let this make you as mad as, I mean, any asshole trying to get out of something is going to do whatever they can to get out of whatever they got themselves into. And wasting resources of law enforcement. Well, yes, she absolutely did that, but justice was served in that department. Don't cry too hard for law enforcement here, because law enforcement they've already got a case. They haven't even found Gannon's body yet, and they have plenty to convict her with.
What happens later on is Harold's thinking, oh, I was just saying this, because, maybe she was doing that. Maybe she wasn't. Right. Instead of saying, this is what happened. Right. And he also said, I didn't see her when she fell off the cliff. He said, I was just looking the other way. Really? You're looking at her the whole time? Right. And then the time that she's off the cliff. Right. And so I'm looking at your story.
Lisa Oldhams, thank you so much. Thank you, Will, for bringing us the full interview. These small clips of this in court was hard to hear and see. Brings new insight. That's why I'm going over it, honestly. So I really appreciate you guys being here. That means a lot too. Thank you so much, Lisa Oldhams. Quinn B, thank you so much. Agreed. Just scary that people like this live among us. Agreed. Absolutely. I'm just glad that we got to see justice served, because a lot of us have been following this case since the beginning. And everything about this case is infuriating. But it's easier to put light onto it. It's easier to find some humor in it, because we know that she's locked up and she's not getting out ever. So this is where we get to celebrate by roasting her. And then after this, and this is not going to be the last live, I'm going to go over the rest of this. We're not even halfway through yet. So there might be 3 parts to this. But yeah, I'm going to go over, we're going to definitely do a part 2, but we're going to go over this whole thing. And then once I finish up with this interview, unless more body cam footage gets released, I'm not going to be going over this anymore. I don't want to give Letecia any more satisfaction that she's being talked about after this. I just feel like we deserve to go through this since we've been following this for as long as we have. This is our reward. We get to go through this, and and break it down and see it for ourselves and hear it clearly.
Story. The ones that you told to Al, the ones that you said in the media, of hitting your head. When you hit your head, you didn't see what happened. And then when someone else takes Gannon, or when he's riding a bike and he hits his head and stuff like that.
I didn't bike. I just told you I was saying that to Albert because I was upset that he wasn't listening to me, that I did not hurt Gannon.
I don't think you intended to hurt Gannon at all.
There's no...
No, I'm not saying you did, or he hurt himself. Something bad happened in his room. No. Have you seen this?
Sir,
you helped clean it off the wall.
Sir,
we know that.
This here, what you're talking about, is completely irrelevant about the whole
Wow. Yeah. So the entire crime scene where they collected forensic evidence that prove that Gannon was murdered in his bed brutally, that prove this, is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Okay.
If it's irrelevant, Letecia, help me. Because there's a big blood pool in the corner. There's spray on the wall.
Because if I tell you anything about any of that, all you're going to say to me is, hey, da, da, da.
If you didn't do it, no, I will be your advocate. Because why do we know each other?
No,
why would I care? If you didn't do it and it helps me find Gannon?
I didn't do it.
Okay, well then help me find out who did.
So right. What?
That's a Gannon in his room.
Done what to Gannon in his room?
There's a pool of blood in the corner.
Okay.
That's Gannon's blood.
Okay, so...
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's a pool of blood under Gannon's bed. And you're like, okay. Okay, lady. Now I'm getting.
You're saying no, this is where I have a hard time knowing what it is. You're like, okay, trust you or not, all right? You're saying there's a pool of blood. Albert said saucer size look. I'm sure you had him say all this because I'm sure you were there or whatever. Okay, in his room, and you said something about what'd you say?
On the wall.
Okay. Then, if that's your whatever your expert advice or
there's
whatever,
more blood.
Okay, then where do you think that I had any involvement with Gannon, and where did he go? That's where it has to click at some point. That.
And that's what I listened to you.
You see what she's doing here?
You're making him guess.
What she's doing is she's fishing. She doesn't know what they have. She doesn't understand the full extent of what they have against her. And what she's doing right now is kind of slick, but it's not working. This guy is just smarter, just 100 times smarter than she is, and has dealt with people 100 times worse than she is, if you can imagine that. So he knows what he's doing here, but what she's doing is she's trying to get more information from him. You see how he's being very careful about when and how much information about the crime scene he gives her. He's very careful about that. So as he's doing that, she wants to know more. She wants to know more about what they know, so that it helps her create her narrative and tell her lies. But he's not doing that. He's not budging. He's just like, well, you got to tell me what happened. You know, you just got to tell me what happened. And she's like, well, that's irrelevant. And I need protection. And I need to know. Get out of here.
What happened to Gannon?
I don't want him to guess.
Well, no, you're asking me to guess.
No, I was asking a question, sir. I wasn't trying to get you to guess. I was just saying in general, asking a question. I want help with people understanding. I tried to give any insight, help, clues, anything, but I can't because they know my daughter, everyone, my family, my mom, everyone. And you can think that.
But right now, Letecia, I mean, you can go down that road, but it's not going to save you in court because you're the last adult with me. So, and nobody else. Just let me try to protect you. I'm not trying to hurt you here. This is actually protecting you. If you don't tell us where to go investigate, then nobody's going to investigate for you. You're the last adult with me. You told a lot of lies about all these injuries.
I didn't tell lies to you or to any police officers.
Did a sex assault happen in the house?
I didn't tell any lies to you or a police officer. Okay.
So we don't have anybody to chase those. We don't chase you.
Right.
Do you understand?
But if you chase me, okay, and you do this to me, people are protected because you guys aren't going to protect everybody else. People are protected. Okay.
We can protect people. We can protect you, family, if this is involved. Now, I've worked South American death groups. I've worked gangsters. I've worked organized crime.
Mm-hmm.
None of that stuff rings true with what happened here. I mean, how is a very organized gang going to come into a house in Colorado Springs?
Who said it? A house? Why does it have to be in the house? See, that's where
he last was.
Oh.
Are you going to make me guess where he was then?
No, I'm telling you. You're not going to listen to me. See, you already just said his last was in the house.
But see, you're going back to you care what I think. You shouldn't care what I think.
I do care what you think. You want to know why? Because I care about how people think of me because I am not that kind of person. That's why.
And if you can point me to a different person, then I can help you.
I gave hints before.
But don't give me hints.
But the thing about it is, if I gave you hints, you automatically took it in an approach of thinking, oh, well, we already looked at the alarm system.
Yeah, why are you giving me hints?
That's not how it works. So think about how much we've looked at you over the past month.
Okay.
You give me a new name, or Quincy Brown, or whoever you want to throw, we can do that same sort of microscope. Because in here I even have what you entered in your phone, the stuff that you've entered and deleted, like blood is spurting from an arterial bleed, direct pressure not controlling.
Do what? I didn't look this up.
It's from your phone.
Blood is what?
Spurting from an arterial bleed.
No.
Somebody did from your phone. I don't like my stepson.
No.
I don't like my stepson.
All right. Now he's reading the evidence to her, guys. This is getting where we're getting to the meat and potatoes, as it were. Guy's such a douche. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up for the night. I really appreciate you guys joining me, and I want to give a big shout out to my mods, man. You guys are fantastic. I really appreciate you guys being here and doing everything that you guys do. You guys are great. You don't have to call in sick. If you can't make a live stream, you don't have to call in sick. You don't have to let Cherry know that you can't make it. You don't have to come. It's not a job. You're not going to get fired. just putting that out there. You guys are good. You guys are great. I'm just grateful for every time you guys can be here. And I mean that. You guys are amazing. Anyways, guys, I love you guys very much. Thanks for all your support. Thanks for all the likes. And we will do this again very soon, my friends.